guess you've asked a bunch of times what's in my box.
What's in your box? Thank you.
Paper box.
It's heavy,
Why do you have that box?
There.
but that's not what we're doing. Okay. So you have a packet that has some words on it. And I did this mainly for Lacey.
Thank you.
Because she likes to doodle and draw during presentations. But what I want you to do is you're going to look at this, we're going to watch a little video clip, and I want you to color in 3 words that come to your mind as you're watching it.
I'm just going to color the whole thing.
I wanted to start coloring in these words.
So,
Hey!
well, color the 3 that you're thinking in the same color, and then you can like.
But you know how you don't color in the rest of it? Oh, I have a very white coloring. So it's like hot. This would be cool because you're given vocabulary words to color in, and then they're like seeing them.
That's brilliant.
No, not pink.
Amber just mentioned how you could do something like this with vocabulary terms.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's more likely good evening, because it's after 3. Well, anyway, I'm happy to be here to talk to you. I'm going to talk about the politeness of people with intellectual disability. But before that, I'm going to talk about a little bit about my life. When my mother had me, I was born intellectually challenged. And we talk about fearlessness. Well, my mother, she didn't fear anything. She had 7 children. And of course, when I came, she was told, you know, this one you're going to have to institutionalize. It probably won't live that long. And of course, my mom read the spiel and she said, don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me what to do. I'll raise my children. Well, my mother had dreams and hopes just like every other mother. She wanted me to grow up like her other 6 siblings who were living, 2 deceased, and 1 adopted, which would have made 10 children. But she wanted me to grow up and go to school. And her dream was for me to graduate from high school. Like any other child, I had dreams. I wanted to be an athlete, I wanted to be a nurse, and I wanted to be a veterinarian. Well, 2 of my dreams I knew wasn't going to happen because of all the naysays that came around. You're not going to do this. You're not going to graduate from high school. You're in a segregated class. I was segregated outside on the playground. I heard a man talk earlier about playgrounds for everyone, inclusionary playgrounds. Well, when it comes to a child who is intellectually challenged, there's not much of a playground for them but to be bullied and teased and be the teeter-ball of everybody's joke. Well, as time went by, my mom's dreams were fulfilled. I graduated from high school, but I was still living a violent, angry life. I can remember going to the dentist with my sisters and brothers. And she took all 5 of us girls, and the dentist would look at 4 of them and said, oh yes, when you got to me, oh, we can't treat her. You need to take her to the clinic. Of course, my mom, being the broad person she was, she didn't take no slack from nobody. But of course, sometimes she fell. And there was a time when I was going to be institutionalized. The 2 schools that I was going to go to are now closed. And she was pro-adamant that her child was going to be educated in the same school system that her other 6 children were living. You got a special education class here, you're going to educate my child. My mom was fearless, and you had to be fearless of her. You couldn't be fearless for her, because she was big. And when she talked, she was like E.F. Hutton. She didn't take no back slack from nobody. And when she said, be quiet, shut up, she meant it. She could pick you out of a crowd. Talk about being fearless. This woman was fearless. She was fearless in the community, and she was fearless for her 7 young children. Even though she had welfare, even though there wasn't much food. But she met what she met, and she met for her children to be their best. Of course, I'm living with anger, taking a lot of psychotrophic drugs. It was coming time for me to branch out. I was going to a workshop when a man approached me and says, you know, there's a program called Special Olympics. I didn't speak. And no, I didn't use sign language. And I remember him saying to me, we want you to come out for this program. And of course, me and myself, mean, angry, all I looked like was like this. I could care less because I know it's a bread and a joke. I got into Special Olympics, a free program. Of course, it offered sports and training competition. At the time they used this word. This word is not to be used now for the retarded. Now we use terms like people who have intellectual disabilities. When I first got into Special Olympics, it was one day. Now it's all year. 180 countries. It's providing more than sport. It's providing something that I was denied, health care. Just a month ago, I was up at the Clinton Global Initiative to speak about people being denied a health care who have intellectual disability. Of course, people come to the platform with about people how they're treated. There's not enough food, clean water. You know the logistics of what people came. But for the first time, somebody with an intellectual disability was able to get up and speak to the world about people who have the needs and the disparity of health care for people with intellectual disability. Rise up, folks. It's happening here in the U.S. of A. that people are still being denied. And when I think about being fearless, today, when I get out there and fight, I'm fearless. I didn't think I was able to give back. I was told that what I wasn't going to be. There was supposed to be a gentleman here today, Mr. Tim Shriver, was supposed to speak on fearlessness, and he says, I'm not the person to speak. Loretta, you are. And I never thought I could be fearless. Yes, I do fear still today. I do fear the future, because I know right in this country, healthcare for the regular population, how we are challenging to get decent health care. So, yes, I am growing older, and I do have fears, just like everyone else, about how I'm going to be treated and how people with intellectual disabilities around this country and around the world is going to be treated. Because if we don't have good health care, we have nothing. You can have all you want in this world. You can have the best of food, but if you don't have good health and care for yourself, we don't have humanity. And now when I look at Special Olympics, I'll always think back. Why would somebody like Miss Eunice Kennedy Shriver, who came from a prominent family, think about somebody who was intellectually challenged? Yes, she had a sister that was intellectually challenged, but she went beyond that in 1968 when she knocked on the gates. And she says, you know what? I'm going to take my chance. In 1962, she had a camp in the yard. Society told her, no, those people don't belong. People like me belonged in institutions. Warehouse. For a crime we didn't commit, basically prison. And here was a woman who stood out. And I always wanted to ask her. We were great friends. And I never got to ask her this question. Eunice, did you ever fear of what people would think of you doing something for a population of people who are not supposed to be thought of? I wished I would have had the chance to ask that question to her, and I didn't. I had to rely on faith. I had to rely on being fearless, and for me to be fearless, for people with intellectual disability, I have to trust in my faith in others, trust in my faith in good people in my life. And yes, when I think about Mrs. Shriver, she took a chance, and she wasn't afraid. She wasn't afraid to be fearless no matter what stepped in front of her. And that's the way I feel today. I'm not afraid to be fearless, whether it's going up against the President of the United States or talking to Congress or talking to Senate. People ask me all the time, Loretta, aren't you afraid of that? I said, no. No, I guess this is the job God gave me to do. When I look back on my life, I was supposed to be feared. But today, I look at my life and I look at so many lives, so many people being involved with people with intellectual disability. And when I look at Special Olympics today, I think about unified sports where people with regular abilities come into the school or into the community and play with people with intellectual disability. I look at Project Unified where we come in and talk, young people in schools where they are being bullied, with intellectual disabilities and regular abilities, talking about just their own issues. Last January, I heard a principal with tears talking to me. He said, Loretta, since we started Project Unified, where our regular students come in and talk to the students with special needs, we had one girl that wouldn't come to school anymore. And because of that, today bullying has went down 60% in our school. 60%. Bullying's a big issue. So today when I look and see what Special Olympics is doing, whether it's healthcare, whether it's people to be in the community, whether it's for a child to play on the park, whether it's for somebody to get their own apartment, to advocate, to be fearless, I have to have something in my mind and beside me. I put my strength and I put my faith in God that I can be fearless on behalf of Eunice, on behalf of Special Olympics, on behalf of all people with intellectual disability. So when I look around, that one day I won't have to have a job to fight. I won't have to be fearless. That one day I'll be able to walk down the street and look at this person and think of them as a person instead of a person with an intellectual disability, as a person to be a part of your community, of my community. Being fearless is hard, and I'll be the first one to tell you about it because I don't know what it is not to be fearful. I've always grown up to be fearful. Fearful of what life is going to give me. Fearful of what's going to happen in the future. But now today, I'm proud to say that I am fearless, not for Loretta, but for the world of all people. So I would like to thank each and every one of you here, and that I hope you will go home. If you fear something today, keep your faith, keep faith in yourself, keep faith in what you believe, and you can be fearless. Thank you so much. Good luck. Thank you.
So real quick, you guys covered 3 words, so we'll just go around real quick and just say your 3 words that you covered. You can say for sure your rainbow.
I have 3 colors specifically.
Okay.
Adapt, equity, and support.
Okay.
Challenge, mindset, responsibility.
Challenge, support, mindset. Support, mindset, resources.
Support, goals, and potential. Potential, support, and change.
Potential, goals, and mindset.
Goals, mindset, resources, and I wrote fearless. I cheated.
Okay.
These are supposed to be words from that.
No, just words that you thought of or words that you thought of as you were watching it.
Intention, designer, and equity.
Okay, cool.
Challenge, mindset, needs.
So does it have to be from this list?
What's that?
Does it have to be from this list?
No, you can write your own.
Okay, so then mine would be fearlessness, mindset, and successful.
We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. We've seen this term before, the least restrictive environment. Can someone, like, in a nutshell, tell me what that is, the least restrictive environment?
An environment that provides the most options and tools for every child individually.
So what I want you to do is open up your packet to the next page. My topic was developmental delay and intellectual disability. And these are some of the laws in the state of Utah. And we're going to fill in the blank a little bit, so hopefully you'll stay awake. So the first thing is, in the student ages 3 through 7. You can write that down on the ground or a pencil if you have in the blank. Developmental delay means a significant delay in one or more of the following areas. Okay, so these are young children. When they see that, hey, there's a problem, they're not doing something on base with like the average child, and these are the things that we have. So the first one, number 1, is physical development. So this is your motor skills, fine motor skills, and you can see there it says motor development often has been defined as the process by which a child acquires movement patterns and skills. So next one, cognitive development. So this has to do with processing of intelligence, language, memory. You can see there remembering, problem solving, decision making. Communication development. So being able to communicate language, nonverbal cues. Number 4, social or emotional development. So how does that a child feel about themselves, and are they able to express ideas and emotions? And adaptive development. So adaptive behavior is a broad domain of development that refers to a child's ability to function independently in his or her own environment. So if a child ages 3 through 7 has a delay in one of these areas, it has to adversely affect the student's educational performance. Taylor, will you read that for me?
The team must determine that the student's primary disability is developmental delay and not one of the other disability categories. The team should also consider whether adequate evaluation data are available to show that the student meets one of the other specific disability categories. When adequate evaluation data are available, the student must be classified in one of the other specific disability categories.
So this was kind of interesting to read because I teach kids that are 11, and so I don't deal with some of this with some of you younger grade people may have seen some of the delays in development in one of these areas. Okay, so I want you to flip to the back side and we'll talk about intellectual disability. So intellectual disability means significantly sub-average general intellectual functioning existing concurrently with deficits in adaptive behavior and manifested during the developmental period that adversely affects a student's educational performance. And so, as I was talking to Dr. Wainsgard about this, and in some of our schools we have units of students that they would go to like a life skills class, and then they start to be mainstreamed into your classroom. Has anyone had that experience where a student comes in and then they come out and they're doing life skills? So, Carol, how did you feel about that experience? Was it kind of awkward because of the timing, or like how was it?
I've been doing it for years. We've got a small group in our school, and from the first year they were there, they first put all of them into my classroom, and then in the last few years we've been splitting them up into all. So we each get one student, and we just get them at the end of the day when we're doing more of the social studies and the science, not the reading and the language, where she'll focus on the math, language, and reading with them. And I think it's a good thing because it's not disrupting necessarily. It depends on, I guess, the child, because there are some that are more disruptive than others. And when that happens, we just talk to her and we adjust and make the adjustments necessary to make it work a little better. But it makes the other students, I think, a little more aware of how to help each other, as well as it gives those students more peer, like age appropriate age grouping peers. So I think it's a good idea. I haven't had any major problems with it.
And it's a good thing because the kid gets the social interaction with students, and so then they'll be able to learn some of those life type skills and interacting with other people. So Dr. Wainsgard, last time we were talking about this, and she asked me a question, and she said, well, if you have students in your class, and maybe not someone that's intellectually disabled or has that delay, I was thinking of my resource kids and kids that are in and out all the time. And I was like, okay, do I actually plan for them when they come in? Do I actually think about, like when they come into my class? Because if you think about their day, any child's day, they're in and out of your classroom. And she's like, okay, like, what do you want them doing when they come in? And do they just sit down and kind of do nothing because they may not be able to do the curriculum that you're doing in that moment? It might be like a writing assignment that you can't just lay it down and say, okay, like, do it with everyone else. And then I felt kind of like a bad teacher. Because I thought about it, I said, you know what, I want a student that comes into my class, and I want that to be the best part of their day, and I want them to feel included in my classroom. And if I'm doing a group activity or morning meeting, then I wait until that kid gets in there, because that would make that student's day. So we're going to do like a little lesson real quick. See how it goes.
I think when I asked you that question, I think the example I gave you was, would you be okay if a student was tracing letters while you were reading a novel? And that might be their activity, but would they, and maybe it might be better for them, like you mentioned, to feel more included. What if they're the ones walking around and doing something, so they're more included? What can they do? They can't read the novel with the class, but what can they do so they feel like they're a part of the lesson? I'm glad I got you thinking. I didn't want you to feel bad.
No, I mean, after all these presentations, I think, okay, we have all these different types of students in our class. We have, different levels. And so when I made this, like, the one word that stood out to me was deliberate. Like, I should be deliberately planning my day for every student. And it doesn't matter what, disability they have, or whether it's ADHD or, an intellectual disability. I need to plan for them in my class. And if we do the things that we've been taught, then hopefully each lesson is conducive for our students. So I'm going to give you a sticky note. Low tech. Low tech. So on this sticky note, so we're going to do a little assignment here. I do this with my 5th graders, and I think it would work well with anyone. And so my goal as a teacher is, I thought about my students this year. I said, okay, when are my students leaving and coming? And I'm going to plan specifically, okay, when they come in, I'm going to make their day. Because sometimes a student comes in, and I'm like, dang, pull like this book out or something. Because I'm in the middle of the lesson, I can't I'm not, a regular teacher. So take your sticky note, and I want you to draw and design your own alien. Alien.
When I am training special education, that's one thing I tell them. It's usually to know when I have great consistency.
So she doesn't send.
Right.
I know how she's changed things. So I'm really trying to that hard. Look, I don't want to have it done together.
Right. And usually it's kind of like, what's a good time? And then it's like, the rest of your year.
You don't want that.
No.
Like our small group.
Well, like I said, this is happening frequently. You don't like how I need to have a schedule.
Yeah. Okay. No. We got pretty good special ed. And our small groups have always been pretty good. Consistency. For the most part. Oh my gosh, you too.
That's the invisible one.
That's talking.
You talking about the guy from Guardians of the Galaxy? Like the little tree guy?
Oh, yeah.
So it looks like in that group.
I need to scope my alien because I need several colors.
Okay, so I'm passing out.
Artistic ability doesn't rely on skill.
You need to now sculpt your alien.
Mine has a whisker right there.
Yeah, they're brand new, so you have to do it.
What?
They're brand new. I know.
Jeez.
Oh no, stop. I don't know if I can read that. Should have been less creative tonight.
Look how easy mine's gonna be making with Play-Doh and you two are
Oh, the smell of Play-Doh.
It's not cold.
I think that's a good time.
It's okay. It's in my car.
Pink.
Did you guys get your thing?
I got the good stuff.
Teacher Amber's eating the Play-Doh.
Oh, that's okay. Like, I think it's fine.
I'm sniffing it.
Yeah, I like it. I'm pretty sure.
He accommodated for me.
It contains wheat, so technically,
If you're gluten free, don't.
like, it's fine.
If you have any gluten.
I cannot.
Smell it. You just don't.
People have to like fall out of it.
You're right, teacher. I might.
Oh, I can help you too. Oh, you got it too.
We used to make peanut butter Play-Doh that was edible. Probably sanitary. I don't know.
No, I'm just saying you can have
My mom used to make it.
Play-Doh?
Yep.
We can switch.
We were poor.
I'll-
We couldn't
I'll
afford real stuff.
stretch.
Oh.
Switch her.
You need a different color.
I just want green stuff.
She wants green. So we're good.
Where's yellow?
We're good. It's already a lot.
Do you have a spaghetti maker?
No, I did not bring that. I keep that in my house. My skull Play-Doh.
At night? Did you just say at night?
Yes.
Insights into Jason's evenings.
Play-Doh town.
What? Your alien.
My alien?
So this is a writing lesson that we do in 5th grade. We did Mount Mahogany. And it goes through the steps of the writing process. And it's nice because any student can do it, regardless of their writing skill. The very first thing that we do is the sticky note, and that's like our pre-write, kind of like our ideas. And then the thing that you're doing now is your rough draft.
Do I get to use a 3D printer to actually make my alien?
See, that would be
Then can I use electricity to bring it to life? And
Yes.
program it?
That would be awesome.
How on earth am I going to make her extra long squiggly arm?
Flaw in my alien.
I don't think she's going to be able to stand up. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I've discovered mine doesn't apply it as well.
Mine stands up.
I don't think mine will stand up.
So like editing. So if you write a draft.
I'm done.
So we'll do that.
I still don't know how I'm supposed to make the whisk for a hand. How do I make a whisk for a hand?
I don't know. So you
Play-Doh.
didn't think that through, did you?
No, I didn't know I was going to.
And you named it already.
I named Mabel.
Bagel?
Yeah.
Mabel. I'm gonna give you like maybe one more minute.
No.
I'm done. And it looks just like my picture.
Me too.
Ah!
I didn't stretch too far. on my
Gosh.
picture, so it's a very simplistic picture.
That's good.
I had a hard time with the hair because you don't have a spaghetti maker.
Mine's not going to stand up, so I'm just going to lay her on the desk.
We used to teach with
Yeah.
Octagon shape.
1, 2, 3, 4,
Mine's supposed to be pear-shaped.
I know. That's Audi, not mini.
No.
Yeah, my husband.
No.
That was like it.
Octagon, is it?
Six? What's six?
Sextuplet.
Hexagon.
Oh yeah.
It's not even hexagon because it's got these dips.
Yeah, like the fish ones from it, not money's awesome.
That's awesome.
He looks like half.
Yeah, like this year's been a lot different. Yeah, I got used to like a good one, and then see someone that
I
doesn't
don't know what mine looks like.
stuff. And you're like, oh, like, and you, as hard as you can tell, you can't tell.
I need to visit your school, not theirs.
You can't tell people who's doing a job or.
That's why you just let professional development. Oh, it's time for professional development.
Okay, so now that you're done, I want you to stand up, walk around, and look at everyone's alien with their picture. So make sure your picture is right by it, so they can see how well you do. Yeah.
I couldn't do her double mouth and her beautiful eye and her hair. Mabel. Hi, Mabel. There's Mabel. Wow. I'm impressed.
Nice.
Oh, I like him though. I can do her cute eye and hair.
Guys, I'm not Avatar are talented. I am not.
Where's the darker stuff from?
How
How cute.
I mean, there's two more pieces.
I'll finish later.
Oh wow, look at that.
Oh, good.
Very good. I could do that. Very nice. Very, very
Mabel.
Okay, I want you to stand by one that's not your own. And so one person per sculpture.
Okay. Make them sound so famous.
There they are. This is the mark. Taylor.
No one likes mine.
I like that we just switched.
Okay, so look at the sculpture, look at the picture. I want you to find like maybe one thing that they should, maybe tweak that's not quite right.
Don't be
Michelle.
Like,
Holy cow, Taylor.
Like-
do we like from their
Yeah,
picture?
from
Can
the
I add
picture
it in?
to the sculpture. Yeah, from the picture.
Can I add it in?
Okay, got it.
Do we do it for them?
Can I?
No, just you're gonna tell them. And so don't touch their sculpture.
I totally picked up your strategy. You don't have the little dotty things on the bottom, so I was just gonna use a pen and just. Does that work for you? Okay.
You just need to add the details of the tails, because they're vague right now.
Okay, I can do
Yours is just missing the eyelashes.
Ah, thank you. Yes.
Emily.
They need the eyelashes.
that.
Okay.
You're a little squiggly?
I know,
Yeah,
but
it
was
wouldn't-
it the other way? I know, it wouldn't study.
Is it supposed to be
That makes sense.
dots on the whole bottom?
And then
Okay.
there's all
Section
not
code.
those
So you
others,
guys are doing
but
awesome. This is the
I
editing phase. You guys are doing it like cross classroom, which is fine. You give the person suggestion, and this is the editing phase.
Sorry.
That would make sense. That would be hard.
Writing rough. Okay, you can go back here.
Oh, we're done with that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, I got it.
I know, she doesn't stand up.
Oh, no, you're great.
Yeah.
It's a nice idea.
People are so creative.
Yeah, you guys did a great job.
See, there's symbolism in this. I need a longer arm to be able to do more stuff, but I already feel like I'm doing a lot with my little whiskey arm.
That's a tools arm that's on
Right? This is my cyborg.
It's just they got it for people.
Should we put this back away for you so it stays fresh?
You can play with it if you want.
And then smell your hands.
Smell your hands. Eat your food after, yeah. So I was thinking that, in our own curriculum, there are ways that we can include all students. And when I deal with my kids, like even the kids that know how to write, they understood how to write better in the writing process just by doing something simple like this. And, a student that might be delayed or may not be a great writer, like they understood as well. And this is something everyone can do and feel good about. And so I think, like for my own practice, I can do a lot better and find ways to help my students in my class, help all my students.
Meet little Joey. Joey has a developmental delay. What does that mean? It means he has delays in one or more of the following areas: physical, cognitive, communication, social, emotional, or adaptive. So what does this mean for little Joey? It could be difficult for him to talk to others, run, jump, skip, hop, or even walk, write neatly or hold a pencil correctly, ask questions, get along with peers, dress himself, keep things organized, learn new information, follow directions, or solve problems, and many more daily tasks and activities. As you can see, school has the potential to be very difficult for a child with a developmental delay. What can we do to help little Joey and others like him? One way to help children with developmental delays is the use of assistive technology. Assistive technology is any item, piece of equipment, or product system, whether acquired commercially off the shelf, modified, or customized, that is used to increase, maintain, or improve functional capabilities of a child with a disability. Assistive tech tools can be classified as no-tech, low-tech, mid-tech, or high-tech. No-tech tools are actions taken by student or staff, or environmental arrangements. Low-tech tools could be items that are not electric, usually are lower cost and easy to use. Mid-tech tools are battery-operated devices or simple electronic devices. High-tech tools are those that use complex equipment, sometimes are high cost, and may require training to be effective. Now that you know what assistive technology is, let's learn how you can use it to help students like Joey. If Joey has a physical developmental delay, handwriting may be difficult for him. He may need support with fine motor skills. These sticker pages from do2learn.com are a great low-tech tool to help students improve their fine motor skills. As Joey puts stickers onto the picture, he will strengthen the grasp between his thumb and forefinger, the muscles necessary for correct handwriting. Also, there are apps available for both iPad and Android tablets that provide a high-tech tool for increasing fine motor skills. Search Google Play for Krabby Writer or Shapes and Robots Tracing. Search the App Store for Little Writer or Bubble Pinch, or follow the links below this video. The video below demonstrates the Little Writer app. After watching it, please see Part 2 below to learn more about assistive technology. In Part 1, we looked at assistive technology options for helping students with physical delays, specifically fine motor delays. But students can have delays in other areas as well. Next, let's look at one way to help students with cognitive developmental delays. If Joey has a cognitive delay, He may have trouble remembering daily routines. He may repeatedly ask questions such as, when is lunch? Is it time to go home yet? What are we doing next? It may be helpful to provide a visual schedule for Joey. Visual schedules are picture representations of a series of events. There are a variety of formats, and they may be used to help a child understand and manage daily events. Here are several examples of visual schedules. All of these schedules are examples of low-tech assistive technology tools.
There's a high-tech tool that I looked up, and this would be nice for younger grades. Michelle's like, that's my whole day. Kids are asking, like, when do we do this, when do we do that? So this app right here, it's called like First Then, visual schedule. And so I downloaded it and put it on the iPad so you can check it out with the group. I only brought 5 iPads. So if you want to get with the group and kind of look at it, see what it does. In the description, it's pretty cool. It says, this is for typically developing children, those learning English as a second language. So that's helpful for our English language learners. People with developmental disabilities like autism, Down syndrome, individuals with learning of disabilities like dyslexia, people affected by anxiety or attention deficits, anyone with language, hearing, or auditory processing deficits, and many more. And there are a lot of reviews online about parents that use that app to make schedules for their kids.
So that's their
You can import your own images, and there's like 10,000 images in the database. And you can also print that schedule out for that student.
Did you create this?
I did not create any of it. I just downloaded it to try it. The reviews I read, like, from parents and educators, they're like, no, this is really helpful. And you can do your own images in there. And so, like, if your image is, hey, like, you're going to this part of the room, you can capture that part of the room. You can customize your own schedule for your class and then print those out.
Well, you don't linger in the
Angela's one, do you? I already looked at the app.
Oh, we tried to drag it. Whenever I got
Maybe that's the all the stuff that was in the envelope. I don't know.
But I didn't get to see that.
Well, that's like in the next version, and that takes a lot of coding. Just for the.
But this is
Oh my stuff. They need that vacuuming carpet. It's cute. I might be like, yeah, it's my Free time, what's that?
Okay, so that is my presentation. The thing that I got out of the class most is just being deliberate, more deliberate in my instruction, and just knowing my students better and planning my curriculum better for my students and making it good for them. Because I think as teachers we get so busy and we have to get things done, and then we don't think that, we are, the person for that student in our class. That, if we did some of these things, like maybe they would turn and if you from that first video, the lady said, I didn't talk, I didn't do anything, because she's like, people thought I was nothing, and luckily she got over that. But I think a lot of our students don't get over that, and they're treated differently. So that's it.
So even dreaming it down, just the simple Play-Doh, what works for one works for all. Something so, and it's UDL, isn't it? Absolutely.
Did we get your stuff posted?
I'll give it to you. I have a Dropbox folder. I'll just share it with you. I have a bunch of stuff. There was a case study in there, but we didn't have time. I don't want to take. I know we have 2 more presentations.
Cool. Thank you.
Has everybody seen Endless Alphabet? While you're setting up, I was meeting with a special ed director once. We were talking about assistive technology, and I love the way his mind thought, oh, guess what happened today? The student that we did not think we could adapt writing for the student with intellectual disability and developmental delay. So he actually introduced me to Endless ABC. And so you click on the word, and all you have to, has anybody seen this before? I know, I was real excited. So then the O, I'm using it with my 2-year-olds right now. And if you miss it, yeah. So I guess definitely put that on your list. It's called Endless ABC, and you can get. Of course, they have the free version and the paid version. And yeah, it was just one of those. Oh, you have to see this new. We have a student now understanding letters.
Like the show.
Yeah.
Well, that's so good.
I like dreams.
Me too.
I like that.
Me too. It's my favorite. Yeah, me too.
I had a taste of this one. You were going to know more about it.
One of your friends was from Emily's books. I don't, whatever the last color teacher was. All right. Okay, so my presentation is on OHI, and this will be it's in Canvas because you'll need one of the slides, and there's presentation 1 and presentation 2. Presentation 1 is a group work that I'm going to have us do here in a minute, and presentation 2 is this, so that you can also just upload it into your live binder. Do not be too freaked out. There are a lot of words, and there is a lot of information. I'm not going to read everything. I just put it there for future reference because as I was talking to Dr. Wainscard, I have someone that falls under this category almost every year. So this may be something that you can just refer back to if you ever need. So there's just a lot of information that we might not, with our time frame, get to, but it will be there for you for future. So there is a lot of information, but not that we are going to go over every single word. That would be really boring. Okay, so OHI stands for Other Health Impairments, and they have this definition that means having limited strength, vitality, or alertness, including a heightened alertness to environmental stimuli that results in limited alertness with respect to the educational environment. I like this one better. This is actually from one of the books from Dr. Wainsgard. It's due to chronic or acute health problems such as asthma, attention deficit disorder, or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, so ADD or ADHD or AD/ whatever we're doing now. Diabetes, epilepsy, heart condition, hemophilia, lead poisoning, leukemia, nephritis, don't know what that one is, so. Rheumatic fever, sickle cell anemia, Tourette syndrome, and there are more.
And the list, they keep adding.
Yes, there are lots, and it affects their educational performance. The ones I've highlighted in red are the ones that I am actually going to talk about today, but I did want us to add, since there are so many, I wanted to add a little bit more for you guys to have in your resources. So we're going to do a little group work, and I have chosen 4 others, and just for about 5 to 7 minutes, I'm going to have you work with, it looks like groups, let's see, we have 4, so maybe 2 or 3 in each group, and you will be given an assigned OHI, one of the things that we were talking about that I'm not covering, and there are links that are in that PowerPoint that are on Canvas. There are videos, there are readings on the web with listening, so it can, anybody who needs any one of those adaptations will have that. Looking for what are some of the symptoms of maybe asthma or one of the other ones. What are some of the challenges they may face every day? What are the challenges they may face in school? What are the accommodations that we as teachers could do for them and help maybe even at school? Because it's not just what we do at school, but at home too, to help them at home. And then technologies. What are some of the technologies? So what I have done is in presentation 1, I have another Google slide, and they have blank slides as well as this as the cover. And you'll kind of have to go back and forth. Using the links on the one slide, you can divide up one of them, whichever you want. You can type a couple of things, bullet lists. You can put some pictures, just some little bit of tidbit that would help each other if we ever do have a student that has one of those other OHI. Help them. Thank you. Did you have a question, Archer? Sorry.
Is this for like food issues, food allergies?
Food allergies. Would that be that one?
Yeah, this literally, other health impairment is kind of the net that catches anything where you can't find
the blanket.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
As long as it's impairing the academic.
As long as it's in the academic performance, and that's where the IEP or not, if it's affecting their educational progress, then yes.
So if someone had like body dysmorphia issues and it's affecting their education, anything like that will.
Right, and that went back to the definition. Anything that affects their education. So we have the 4 are asthma, juvenile arthritis, leukemia, and hemophilia. And I've actually had a couple of students, one student with juvenile arthritis, one of my first couple of years that, he was pretty much in a wheelchair, had to stay home a lot. We had to eventually get a tutor to tutor him at home. And asthma, I probably have 2 or 3 almost every year with asthma. So these are students that I felt like that we would probably come across sometime through our teaching career. So I am going to let's do groups of 2, and then we'll have one group of 3. So maybe Archer, Amber, Krista, if you guys will do asthma, and Lacey and Emily, will you guys do the arthritis? And Jason and Michelle can do leukemia, and Taylor and we will do hemophilia. And there are links on the other slide. So these slides all have links to give you some, and you can find your own information as well.
What do you want us to put on the slide?
So on the slide, and it says this on the very first one, it tells you,
So we're just listing, we're not making a video or something.
You don't have to make a video. You can make a list. You can do pictures. You can do whatever, just to give some extra information about those.
What are we doing?
So creating the second. Okay.
Which topic did you want to
Juvenile arthritis.
What are the symptoms of Should we start there?
Oh, somebody's gonna call somebody to paste that in. Is that you, Archer?
Whatever you need to do.
Is that you?
I'm gonna are you logged on?
Okay.
Or that you have things highlighted?
Right, and we're gonna get to that. You're talking about my student, because he was
They have to be, because if we have to, you have to be academically tested,
because he fell under OHR, so if they have any medical diagnosis for diabetes, then they, asthma, I would.
So it's on the right.
I mean, I guess on this little thing.
No, so I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would. Are you on?
Is it Cal presentation 1?
Yes, it's from presentation. We need more than one slide. Can we have more slides?
One or two.
We have to put it all on one slide. Are you sure? Hey Carol, can you make it so it's not view only?
Is it? On
We have
that
to
one I
request
did.
to access.
Wait, so
That's weird, because Bree got on, I was gonna say Bree, one of them is view only and one of them you can do.
So the one with the blank slides is says view only. I can't remember.
So is
This
it
one,
presentation
yours
2?
view only.
We're doing presentation 1 to add on to
are
it.
we adding them onto the
But I
blank
can't
slide?
get into it.
Yeah, you were
Yeah,
adding
that's how
information.
I I have this, the symptoms, cough, shortness of breath, chest pain.
I can see this.
Okay, so challenge the student's face. I'll look for that
So
one.
that's weird. Let me look at it.
I'm just looking for pictures.
Let's say like this
We're
one,
adding
one, two,
We're adding
but I'm going to.
Because Bree, we got on it this morning and it would let us.
Yeah,
Is it letting you?
on the links, yeah. You click the link, you click it, and then you,
No, I mean on the one that I said, can you type on that one?
yeah, I'm typing it right now.
You're typing on it?
You may have only given.
Maybe I just gave Bree. Bree's the only one that can do it.
There are lots of pictures
So
that
the
have
rest of you.
I guess I'll just do all of this. Taylor, I will.
symptoms and the challenges.
Okay, so it's.
What do this?
Blood.
Cough, wheeze, short of breath, chest pain, diurnal variation, and limited exercise tolerance.
Yeah.
So,
One of those days where I'm like,
Anyone else?
March to the front, like, I don't want to lock, so I got this one.
Oh, yeah.
Where the blood change.
So the call blood, whoever. Yeah.
Yes. And edit, okay, scroll down.
Alright, let's see if this works. Sorry, I just gave Bree permission, nobody else had it.
Refresh your, which presentation is this one?
This is, one, refresh number 1. And you should be able to edit.
So this was for challenges, right? This is challenges I face at school.
I can't remember more than one.
They can't play unless you can. Very
Refresh as in, I have to keep going back. Okay, yeah, you can first, they didn't hit it all. No, I honestly can't remember what they were thinking. Okay, I wasn't even smart enough, I promise. It wasn't, I promise.
Did that work?
oh, hang on. Where is that? I'm editing the picture. I don't know, so I moved it. I'm not touching it.
I did it. Sorry.
Wait, where's the bullets? Wow.
So apparently,
Yes. Well, they're from the outside, swinging.
It's gotta
They
be.
can have my
Okay, wait.
we should really go in and fix what we did.
Yeah, they can be so friends can be outside of the week.
They can be running around and they can sit in their seats and just be like,
Carry everybody around. What group should we put you in? Let's see. You can be in Jason and Michelle's group. They're not live at the moment.
Oh,
Your screen's black too.
I know. It's going.
Okay, so what are some of the challenges? Let's read together.
oh, look at that. Golly. Wait, what are some of the challenges for what? They may face each day due to their illness.
Okay, let's do 1 minute, I think.
Okay.
So what are some of the challenges they may face? Wouldn't that still be the same thing as symptoms?
Well,
Maybe this is what they would.
no.
No,
Isn't there another link?
possibly.
What's it?
There it is.
Yeah, going back to school. Living with leukemia, the video.
Oh, is that what it is?
Put it up, yeah.
Yeah.
Do the volume right there.
I'm going to tell you, but I'm like, oh, she's not front on that. Oh, she's good.
I'm sure it'd be hard because they're in and out of school all the time.
Oh yeah.
And they're probably weak, like just
Tired.
feeling tired like all the time.
Sick on July 11th.
Yeah, these videos are fine. That'd be hard. They have to monitor their stuff all day too. That's crazy.
Yes.
Show me on your fingers how many you don't hold the middle finger free.
When have I ever
That
held
would
middle
dominate your body.
Never.
Yeah.
Like that would be your. You wake up,
That's all you
routine,
would think about.
routine.
Yeah.
I would have done this
Like-
if I won.
Presenting?
Let's talk about every possible help.
Oh, yeah. Just be healthy.
No secret.
And he's ready.
See how Lacey's group's doing. So this is Lacey's group. They're working hard.
Anything.
Oh.
Who are we even? Oh, Ginger! Get feeling better.
Yeah, she's working hard.
Oh yeah. Ginger sick. I'm always working hard.
I think. Let's see what's. See what Taylor's doing right now. Oh, working hard. This is Ginger, I think.
It's black.
Yeah, it's recording though.
Oh, hey Ginger. Okay, here's Taylor.
She said she had I briefly looked over the text, something like her tonsils and her ears were hurting. Something like that.
Okay, I see what you're saying. You were like, hang on, I was ready for that.
That's what I'm supposed to do, right?
I mean, they're all up here.
He looks a lot older than.
Okay, so tell me.
Right. Yeah.
All right.
Are we writing on the paper?
No, this is
Oh,
mine.
oh.
We're fighting. Nope.
Carbon paper?
Yeah, that's Yeah, I mean, that kid, he just wants my stuff. So that's it. Or can you imagine like having things like that? And then like,
It's always hard to find a balance between like statements and but I can see why she would want to do it. Like the first semester, a lot of years, and I get a good mind. Teachers can help, but they were she's not. I stopped looking at her. Yes, I'm screaming, but like there's not following me, but we were every time we went
And following the students after
right.
Our
Scary though. That's hard. I mean, I'm sure doing that.
Not exactly.
Oh, it totally is.
I'm sure you're used to it, like you're used to it now, but I'm sure it takes time. Like,
and then like even things when you're like going somewhere.
dinner means something at night. Where's the 24th? Here.
And then you go. And that's so convenient. Yeah.
How to get prescriptions.
Well, you just call them.
So that's part of our insurance.
There's a bulldog on it. It was immediate. My parents bred bulldogs when I was a little kid. Oh, it was super fun. They're so good.
Okay, now are we good with one more minute?
I can't have one though because I
Yeah,
can't.
one more minute. Okay. About
We're
one more
doing
minute. My kids know that they know that.
combination, so like I said, so the
We don't
teacher
know.
can
1 minute,
allow
guys.
students and the parent.
I know, I'm like,
We're outside.
I'm like, is it a teacher
The teacher has to obviously be
Or a
flexible with
student, yeah.
the science.
I'm like, two teacher minutes.
Yeah, so my presentation is part 2. Part 1 is where you guys were adding your own slides.
What? The crayon in the
But
copy?
yeah, we'll be outside at recess and I don't
That
want
I
to be back in,
definitely
so
would
like
regret.
1 more minute. People are like,
I am not upset at all.
Just help them.
Access to content
Yeah,
at
we're
home.
so smart. Let's not put anything that's causing uproar and we'll get our point across.
For the two people that got angry and then everyone picked it up for the news.
like there wasn't more important things to say about like today's.
That's not, still there.
That's gonna die.
Oh, Bree wins. QR code. Yep.
Excuse me?
Bree wins. Lacey started.
not win.
Bree wins. Lacey. Lacey started it. You weren't here.
Dang.
Yeah, she had the QR code.
Oh, I wasn't here. You're right.
You are.
Okay, you weren't here either. That's right. Because that was the one where
I
you
had to sit down.
kidding me? Yeah. Like total offense.
Ooh.
That was sort of tricky going back and forth. Was it your first?
Yes, this week.
Oh,
Done. Okay.
I'm having
We're good.
I don't know if we'll have time for that. So we might have to-
We're good, Carol.
Yeah, see? Technology's open. You know, like flip your assignments online, things online. Yep.
Okay, so what I would like us to do is this, you guys can also use this to upload for information on those other 4 areas. But I just want to go through each
area and just tell me one thing that you as a teacher want to be more aware of with students that have that issue. So for asthma, Amber, Krista, Archer, was there anything that kind of stood out for you guys?
The teacher should be aware of?
Yeah, or maybe accommodate, or just make sure that we are, like Jason was saying, what are we going to take from this and take back to our
classroom. Somebody causing
They're very low end. The students have action plans usually when they have asthma, and you need to be aware of it and follow the action plan, and realize they might have inhalers and need to step out of the classroom to use them.
Yeah, and that's kind of what a lot of these is plans. There are a lot of, for every one of these, there's action plans or plans or some kind of thing.
There might be serious accommodations for like a gym class.
Yeah. And we were talking, Taylor and Brie and I were talking about like the technology, and for some of these there aren't like a technology that, we think of technology, asthma type thing. There's not necessarily a technology type thing for every single, with asthma. They can still use, they can use computers. There's kind of, so.
You could definitely use some of our anxiety interventions and like visual timers and things like that, because sometimes what happens when they have an asthma attack is you really got to take their mind off of it while the inhaler is doing its work. So by having a visual timer or a song they can listen to or something like that, that can help to kind of make that time go a little faster for them.
That's good. Because I was thinking, okay, some of these, for instance, we were talking about when we get to leukemia, they have a link on theirs that I'll let them talk about. So the next one, I got the set. I'm going to sleep too fast. Sorry.
That was like my computer in my 7th grade classroom.
Oh,
that's nice.
You guys don't want this.
That's
those are my stats. I've got them done. People, thanks to Lacey and Dr. Tufts, I'm ready to put them in chapter 4. There you go. Okay. So juvenile arthritis. Anything that you guys really found stood out for you?
I liked that it said to have extra textbooks for the kids to have at home, so they don't have to carry their textbooks from school home. And you could just have everything online.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was thinking too. Nowadays, there's a lot more you can do with students. That when I first started teaching, it was just making sure he had extra textbooks, because he could not. I mean, he would be huddled over like this. He was like a little old man in a body, and he could not carry his backpack and things like that. So
I'll have to teach my mom how to do speech recognition stuff, because she has rheumatoid arthritis, and her hands have twisted now to the point where they're getting really hard for her to use. So that's going to be really
and that's the speech to text. Which, by the way, Lacey, thank you very much. Guess what we did?
Yes, are you kidding me?
Oh my gosh! So my son hates to write, and he doesn't like typing that much either. And we are like, Ginger makes him write every single week. I can say that. Thanks, Ginger.
Good, Ginger.
Thanks, Ginger. No, it's good. It makes he and his mom write. So last week I was complaining to Lacey on the way home. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to go home and figure out how to inspire this kid to do more. And Lacey's like, what? Oh, you got to do that speech to text. I'm like, oh, and Taylor and I were playing with it on the back table. I'm like, yeah. So I went home and I showed him function. We were doing it for an hour, and he was having so much fun, because he was having fun trying to see what sentences would come out, because he can't enunciate very well. So astronaut always was astronaut or some kind of weird word, but maybe us other words. But we were having a lot of fun with it. So that's a good one too, the speech to text. It's really good. Yeah.
Carol was supposed to save the story for my presentation.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
She blew it.
I blew it. I did. It was, I was excited. I had to tell her. She brought it up. You weren't here. She brought it up. No,
I know.
Sorry. Susie brought it up.
Another one that I liked was it's called the dwell clicker, and I'm like, what is that? It's using the mouse. They don't have to push the button. The mouse pushes the button for them, so it senses.
Oh, it's like the whole hand.
Yeah.
Ah.
So it's like, so it's kind of clicking software is what I call it. It's kind of interesting.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Okay, leukemia. Jason and Michelle, what was something that you felt that you took away from that?
in one of the videos it showed, a student had leukemia, and the mom went into the school with the student to talk to the kids about, the situation, his appearance, and I think, making students aware of what's going on so they're not making fun and, making comments, I think is super important.
And even just, she was explaining this is what happens. They're white blood cells, this and this and this. And so then that saves that child from so many questions about things.
And I think that's a big thing. Last year when I had the student that was on the autism spectrum, he was my first superstar, and the mom came, and it didn't put it on me having to explain anything, so that was good. And she explained, some of the things that he struggled with, some of the things they would see, and just makes the kids, plus the kids see a parent member, so it kind of makes it more, real to them, more familiar. They have a family, they have, I liked, on this one, the news story, the technology. The student had leukemia, and he could come to school because they have to be in a clean environment. And so they did kind of like the Skype thing. They put it on a robot. Yep. And so the robot would wheel through the rooms that he would go into the classroom, and so the kids could see, and that was really cool. So that's something that they can do for these kiddos that have to be home after they've had their intense chemotherapy and radiation and things like that. So that was something I thought was really cool. Hemophilia.
So the symptoms, so it's external or internal bleeding, and their blood does not clot. The challenges they face every day and at school, they have to be very careful to not get injured, to not even get bruised. So in PE and recess, they would have to have some kind of accommodations or just not go to PE or recess with all the bumping and playing going on.
They'll send their robot in.
Yeah, they'll send the robot in instead. We couldn't really think of a lot of technologies. Taylor came up with one.
Yeah, using FaceTime.
So while all their
friend
friends are
can just be
outside
running around
playing.
outside while they're sitting at their desk. And they can just watch the happiness going on.
That was all I could think of.
Okay, so these are now things. Yes, Kristen.
Oh, I was just going to tell you guys, and I can't remember the specifics, but there was a great thing on the TV about hemophilia, and there was something else that they did before, but scientists have figured out how to correct it in the gene sequence.
Oh, wow.
And so they grow the genes in a test tube, or they fix the genetic sequence in a test tube, and then they give you a blood transfusion with the correct cells in it. And I can't remember which one they corrected, but they're working on hemophilia now. They're feeling like they are not very far away from being able to cure that.
That's awesome.
That was just on the news this week. I wish I could
wow,
remember what it
cool.
was they cured doing it in the test tube, but it's like out of my mind at the moment.
The keynote speaker at our TEDx event that we had here in the spring has invented a polymer that you put on wounds, and it'll stop the bleeding immediately.
Holy cow.
So there are some high-tech solutions.
There are
Gene
some.
therapy and polymer gel.
So down the road,
How much is that, Joe?
right? Worry about that. Okay, so now those are part of what you guys can use the link to put onto your light binder for a few more. The ones that I focus on, the first one is diabetes, and this is where the body does not produce or use insulin properly. There's more information. Like I said, I don't want to read it all because I've got 2 more to go and I've only got like 15 minutes, so I'm going to keep going. So there's type 1 diabetes and type 2. And type 1 is the one that usually they finally diagnose in children, depending around at a younger age. And type 2 is usually tends to be more of an environmental type of diabetes, things that we do to ourselves. The symptoms, going to the bathroom, lots of thirst, extreme hunger, weight loss, fatigue, irritability. Those are some of the things that clues us in that they may have diabetes. This one is a website, and it's a link that will take you to a website that gives you some ideas about working with children with diabetes. And this one, I have a couple of videos, but I won't go through this one. But here's a video on YouTube that talks about kids with diabetes, and they're sharing what they do. I put that in there just if you wanted something extra in your board in your free time, like
Or
you
it's
saw.
a good thing to show to your class if
Yes.
you have a student with diabetes.
Yeah, and that was another thing. If you have, having the parent come in and talk to the class, and we actually have a second grader. Michelle, did someone have him last year?
Who is it?
The one with diabetes that's in Deb Wolf's class. Anyway, he's coming up, but he has diabetes and he has to be tested and he has to be monitored very closely. And this would be whoever gets him this next year in third grade, this could be something to share. But what I did, I have to go into my YouTube. Let me see. That's not gonna let me do YouTube, will it? No. So maybe I'll have to go to my YouTube account. Anyways, right here, these are my friends Kurt and Colleen, and their daughter Lexi has diabetes, and I did an interview with them, which doesn't want to come up, so maybe I will see if I can go into find my link. It's kind of long, it's 14 minutes, so I'm not going to show all of it. That's something you guys, if you want to go in and listen to my beautiful voice there asking them questions. Actually, they do a really, really good job explaining about how they found out Lexi had diabetes, the things that they've had to do, using all kinds of terms and things like that I was like, wow. So they do a fabulous job explaining, and then Kurt talks about what they've had to do working with the school personnel. She actually goes to a private school, and the teacher is the one that's had to do the testing on her. So I'm like, whoa, we can't, there's no way. So that I thought was kind of interesting that she does that they have to do that. And we actually have aides that are sent and trained to test the little guy that's in second grade. Let me see if I have it in here for the
It's actually pretty simple. Like, I don't think they're too old when I learned it.
No, she can show. I have a video of her. Why is it saying it won't open it? That's weird. I have a video of her showing you, if I can get my links onto YouTube, of her showing you how she does her own testing, and she's only 6 years old. So let me get the link off of my PowerPoint one. It's slow. Too many things open. It's big PowerPoint.
Where did my computer end up?
Oh, here.
Right there.
Is it faced the wrong way or the right way?
It's
I think
facing that way.
it's
right.
Okay, cool.
It's facing the.
Thank you.
Sorry, this is being super slow to open. Is YouTube blocked? It's not blocked here, is it? Okay. I'll just go down to my link on my regular PowerPoint before I had to convert it.
Now you're in trouble.
All right, so these are my friends, Colleen and Kurt and Lexi. And Lexi has diabetes, and she is going to tell us, and her parents are going to tell us a little bit more about this. So it will help us be better teachers and more aware of how to help our students that have diabetes. So we're going to start with Colleen, and she's going to tell us a little bit how they found out how Lexi had diabetes and some of the things that they have to do to help maintain her levels every day. Thanks, Colleen.
Sure. So Lexi was diagnosed at 13 months. It happened kind of fast. Her symptoms were she started to become extremely thirsty. We couldn't keep her thirst down. As soon as we would give her a drink, she would pee right after, and it became a constant drinking and peeing to the point when she would explode diapers within a short amount of time. I'd be giving her baths in the middle of the night just because she was so wet. The day she was diagnosed, I kind of felt like things weren't right when I dropped her off at daycare. She didn't look quite quite right. Her skin had a different color and she was very mellow. But otherwise, she was still able to play a little bit. When we picked her up that night, the daycare lady said that she'd thrown up and also just didn't seem right. We took her to Instacare, and just while we were sitting in the waiting room, could tell she was progressively getting worse. And they took her vital signs, everything was fine, her heart rate was fine, but even the doctor said, I can tell something major is going on, and we're sending you to Primary Children's right now. So within a couple minutes of being at Primary Children's, they tested her blood sugar and diagnosed her with diabetes instantly. And we were in the hospital for a week while they were trying to stabilize her blood sugars. She had ketones, which was causing her liver and kidney to have problems. But right away, once they got her levels figured out and got her on insulin, she was a new kid. She was running up and down the hallways. Her skin color was back. She was back at it. We had to learn how to give shots and test her blood. Pretty much the same as she was at 13 months as she is right now. She tests her blood about 7 times a day, before every meal, before bedtime, and anytime we think that she's acting low. And then she gets on average 7 shots a day.
So how do you know if she's acting like she's getting low? What are some of the things that you see?
She will tell us one of her common things is that she feels hungry. She'll come and say, I'm hungry. And when she's just recently eaten and she says she's hungry, we'll know she's probably low. Her eyes dilate a little bit. She gets kind of pale. She, if it's a really significant low, she'll be shaky. What do you feel like when you're low?
Not good.
Not good. What does it feel like?
Like you're about to throw up.
About to throw up? Oh.
A little nauseous.
But you can just tell kind of the life gets sucked out of you when you're having a low. Just like if we were to exercise really hard and not have sugar in us, we can start to feel kind of yucky. That's how she feels when she's low. And so what diabetics need when they're low is carbs. A lot of times people say sugar. Sometimes things with a lot of sugar don't have a lot of carbs, and they need carbohydrates right away.
So what are some things that you guys give her when she's low?
She likes chocolate milk, which that's kind of a guarantee. No matter how low she is, she'll drink chocolate milk. Let's see what
At school they make these glucose tablets, and they're just these small little wafers, and they're just full of carbohydrates, and they're really easy, fast acting.
Wow,
So she just has her diabetes kit, and
we keep those glucose tablets with us everywhere we go. And that is the fastest thing.
So how do you guys test her blood? Do they have a special?
Okay, so I'm going to stop there because Lexi actually shows you. And as you see, it's 14 minutes, and they do a fabulous job talking about what they've done and what they do with the school. Lexi has had shots ever since she was little, and she's a trooper. I've known them forever, before she was born. They actually did put a pump in her for a little bit because they have pumps for diabetics that can automatically put the insulin, regulate the insulin. But she was too little, and it was a little painful, and she would kind of bunk and things like that. And they're coming up with all kinds of cutting edge things. They're coming up with smaller ones. Talking about the technology, which I have a slide for that. But there is technology that they can test their blood, and it will track their highs, their lows. It'll go to an app. Like I was telling Colleen, we were talking about there's a new type of pump thing that will not only test them throughout the day, and then it will automatically regulate and do all those things that would be so fabulous for these kiddos because they have. I guess she's a trooper. It's just crazy. But in fact, we just had a family party, and they were there, and I happened to witness Lexi at one of her lows, and it was kind of weird. She just came up and was just sitting by her mom, just leaning against her, and all of a sudden they're like, okay, we need to test her, and she had gotten down to about 80, which is she should be about 80, higher than 80. So she just kind of tires right out when that happens.
So this shows you, let's see if I can get Lexi's. Right here. So this is Lexi, and she's going to show you how she tests on her own. Okay, so Lexi's going to show us. What are you going to show us, Lexi?
How to test.
Okay.
So what are you doing first?
Pulling this back so it shoots up so I can get poked.
I know.
56.
256.
So she actually is that a little bit high, you know?
A little bit high.
So,
Tiny bit.
Yeah. So Lexi got
you did an awesome job. Okay, so like I said, that's something that you can, watch sometime if you're interested. They do a really good job explaining what they do with that. So it says watching for low numbers. Her perfect range is 80 to 160. She was at the party. She was around 80, so she was starting to get a little bit low. She needs carbs. They said the carb thing. Now a lot of people say that the wrong thing to do is to get sugar. So I'm going to give you all some sugar because that's the wrong thing to do. But to go along with that.
Another wrong thing to do is to give something like a banana, which you think has a lot of sugar in it, but it takes a really long time to absorb.
So they're saying the carbohydrates, and they have those special wafers that that the school has, and that's really what helps her the most. So, and that was her showing you. Anyways, I'm not going to do this part because I've still got two more to go. We're going to talk about what hypoglycemia versus hyperglycemia. Does anybody know the difference real quick before I go? Since
high blood sugar, low blood sugar.
Okay, good. Yes, exactly. We had a Padlet, but we are going to move on. There was a Padlet there. Okay, so hypoglycemia, too much insulin. This is where you are feeling kind of low, maybe missing meals, too much exercise, things like that.
Watch out for anger and ability to control emotions.
I was sitting there thinking, okay, think some Snickers commercials right here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's my son. Like, if he doesn't eat regularly every 2 hours, he just turns into the biggest monster you've
And
ever
that's my husband. You can just tell. All of a sudden you're like, he eats when he eats a meal. It's like, oh, you're kind of nice now. No.
Yeah. He wants to puke and he yells at you.
So that's people that don't go too long without eating and too much exercise, things like that, that's what happens. And then shaky, jittery, they could get sleepy, hungry. There's all those symptoms, but you guys can read that. And then there was this cute poster I thought would be fun for just a resource for you. And then hyperglycemia, there's too much sugar, too little insulin. This one kind of goes along with the diabetes there. The food intake that has not been covered adequately by insulin. This is where they have the increased thirst. This is where they kind of the symptoms that you would see if you were a diabetic. So that's another little poster for your reference. The adapting the classroom, the plan. We were talking about plan, making a plan, frequent bathroom breaks, snack breaks, making sure they're the right snacks, getting with the parents. The big thing is making sure you get assigning a buddy because they might need someone because they don't always know. This is something I thought that was interesting. They don't know when they're having their low. You would notice maybe before they notice. It's kind of like when she came and sat by her mom. And her mom's like, wait a minute, something's up. So just kind of being aware of that. The checking the blood sugar, the AIDS, things like that, self-check. She can do it all by herself as she saw. Field trips, that's kind of a good one because that's one where you have to really watch with what's going on with them and making sure our classroom's ready for that.
I think it's really important too that when you notice, because you notice first, to teach them that you're noticing so they start paying attention for those cues too.
Yeah, and I think as they get older, usually they kind of pick that up a little bit. So we're talking about the technology a little bit. They have apps, like when she tests her blood, they have apps where it can go automatically onto a record keeping of her highs, her lows, things like that. They have the pumps, and now they're coming out with smaller pumps, but they have text you can get sent to yourself to remind yourself to test your blood, things like that. So there are technologies to help with this and help remind them to keep an eye on that. Okay, the next one. I'll just go through epilepsy really fast. Sorry, people. And last month was National Epilepsy Month. It was in November. So epilepsy it's what it is they call it, well, seizure disorder, because it's when you have, if your brain changes how you change how the brain works. And there's a couple different characteristics, different ways, because there's different seizures that they would have. So you can have the blackouts, you can have the unexplained moving, the convulsions, things like that, fainting spells type thing, the odd sounds, kind of a daydreaming or kind of a hazy walking around. We're going to talk about those a little bit. This is a YouTube video that explains what a seizure is, another good resource if you happen to have a student or you need something to kind of help in the classroom. I'm not going to go through it due to time. Okay, so here are some of the seizures. The first one is the tonic-clonic seizures. These are the ones that we most usually think of when we think of seizures, is where they kind of fall and they do the convulsions and just the scary-looking ones.
It used to be called grandma.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and they've changed the names on this. And we're going to talk a little bit about what to do. The myoclonic seizures is not so much the whole falling and convulsing, but they do the shaking. And when I was reading about this, I'm thinking, okay, it kind of dates me, but I really like the movie Still Magnolias. So when she was in the barber shop and she does the convulsing, she was doing the myoclonic seizure. So just kind of not the whole drop in the major convulsions, but just more of the shaking. And then the absent or petit mal. Now, this is actually, I have a student this year that has this, and they just diagnosed him last year. And this is where they tend to seem like they're just daydreaming, but they're actually having a seizure, and can happen a lot throughout a day. And so all through time he was little up until last year, they just thought he was a daydreamer. And they just figured it out last year that, whoa, he's having seizures. So they put him on medicine, and I have not seen him do it this year. But we have a plan that we keep with the teacher, the aides, things like that, that talks a little bit about that and going on through that. But so that one used to be called petit mal, but they call it the absent seizure now, where they just tend to stare out into space for about 15, 30 seconds. They come back and they seem just disoriented, and sometimes they get a really bad headache and things like that.
My friend's son has 2 to 3 of those per minute.
Yeah, they say they can have up to like 140 a day if you're not medicated, even with medicine. I assume this little guy has done pretty well. I haven't seen him once, so they must have found something that really worked for him.
My friend in junior high had that, but they were not short in duration. They were long in duration. And
they were just like,
you had to be there because she couldn't protect herself. She couldn't do anything.
And the video had actually, I don't know if it's this one, there were videos that showed them having the absent seizures. So there are all kinds of things that you can watch to kind of get you aware of what you'd be looking for. There are some other seizures that go along with epilepsy, but more like with tumors and things like that, and they're called partial seizures. And these are kind of seizures that almost to me it's like they're sleepwalking type thing, and they don't know exactly what they're doing, and it can go along with epilepsy, it can go along with brain tumors, other ailments as well. So those are a different type.
I had a little girl one year, she happened to be in for recess, and all of a sudden she was like, who turned the lights off? Why is it so dark in here? What's going on? And she could not see anything. So I scooped her up and I ran her to the office anyway, and then they found out that she had seizures. Yeah.
So there are seizures where you're not dropping convulsing type things. I mean, you can be staring blankly into space or acting like maybe you're walking in your sleep. So all kinds of types of seizures that would affect your learning. Strategies with the seizures. The main thing I liked was keeping calm. There's nothing you can do to stop it. Just remaining calm. If they're having the major seizures, talking about laying them down gently, moving things out of the way, letting them have it. Obviously, we've learned you don't put your finger in their mouth and anything like they used to say, but just being there to support them if they have it. So as a teacher, we just need to know if we have students, what do we do? These are the things that we need to do. And so those are some more of the strategies. The technology actually could be adverse for them. They have to be extra careful with technology. So some of the things that the flicker-free monitors, the monitor glare, because some of the lights and the flashing, and that can cause a seizure. So we actually have to be extra careful how we use technology with students. And I was kind of worried about my kiddo this year. I'm like, okay, computers, because we turn them off when we go in sometimes just to make, if we're working on something, I'm like, ooh, does that make it worse? So I have to be a little more careful with that just because I'm not sure if that would make things worse. So those are some things that they have to help maybe with people that have seizures and epilepsy and the seizure disorder. There are some resources I like. There was a book called My Daddy Has Epilepsy, and it's on Amazon that I thought that was kind of a cool book that we could share with our students.
The Epilepsy Association has a seizure smart training every month too.
Oh wow!
It's just a one evening workshop thing.
Oh, that'd be cool. And yeah, if we have students that have these, we need to be trained. And so
it helps reduce your anxiety too. A good friend of mine is a high school teacher, and one of her students last year had grand mal seizures a few times in class, and she ended up having some, not necessarily PTSD, but some classical conditioning where she'd walk into her classroom and just fear. Yeah. Because she wasn't trained and didn't know what to do, and so it was just a fear response that she started having in her own classroom.
And just being around, just kind of having that training. And they even said for the kiddos, having a role model or someone for them so that they also feel comfortable. So everybody's calm and comfortable in the situation. Okay, last one. This was a big one. Okay, so Tourette's. I was going to do a Kahoot. Do you think we can? Okay, I've never done a Kahoot. Taylor said it 5 million times. So let's try this. I actually might have to, I don't know if it'll let me go to it.
So much fun. It's better if it's on your phone or an iPad of some sort.
I agree.
You don't have to believe.
Okay, so there's the number. Even though that's fun music, that's what I was getting. So I'm assuming that is what we're waiting for is the number. Yeah.
Kahoot.it, and then type in that number.
Got it.
Okay, so you don't have to use an app.
No, just the internet.
Hey, who's putting naughty nicknames there? Come on.
Ooh.
There are more.
Who wants more? I want another one.
You want another one?
Yes.
Okay, can we go? Do we have enough? Let's just go. Okay.
You're eating for two. Hey, that's right. One for the baby.
No, you just do the.
Okay, people who have TS, which is Tourette's syndrome, make
I'm
unusual
eating
movements
for
or
like
sounds
7.
called what?
Oh, time's up.
Wow, that was a fast time.
Yes, I knew I'd be running out of time by now.
I do.
Okay. So what are they called? Tics. That's what they're called.
Man, and Faith.
Okay. My spacing, I showed this to Taylor. I did not space it that way. That just happened.
And not all students with Tourette's have tics.
That's right. My kiddo, we'll talk about my student here in a little bit, but he doesn't, he does a lot of blinking. Yes. Okay, there we go so far. There's the scores. Moving on. A person can have tics without having TS. Already.
Oh, the other way around. It's a different way.
Yeah, the other way around. Sorry, I think it is like that. Okay, next.
My daughter doesn't have tics. She has a stim.
Archer. Okay, moving on.
Boys are affected.
Oh.
How many times more often than girls?
Yes.
Yes, I'm second.
5 and 3 overlap. Those are overlapping answer options.
Well,
they all are.
I was trying.
I know.
1 to 5.
I was trying. Okay.
Oh, we are fast.
Easy. Oh.
Always look for all of the above. Always.
I lost.
I'm on the board. Okay. All right. So
You gotta
that.
end it.
Oh.
Where's the satisfaction? Sorry.
Yeah. There you go. Fabulous.
I like that trophy, please.
Okay, so moving on to, I just lost my place. I'll do this one in like 3 minutes. 2, maybe 1. I'll go really, really, really fast. Okay, we did that one. There is, this actually is really good video. I'm just going to show you 30 seconds.
An amazing documentary.
Huh?
It's amazing. That
Yes.
documentary is amazing.
Yes, I love this one. I watched this from HBO, and I'm just going to show you. It actually shows you one of the kids. Is funny. He's funny at first. He's like, "Oh, there it is." So that right there is one of those symptoms, but like I said, not all.
Ticks control our bodies. Ticking, like coughing, twitching, like snapping all the time. Do a lot of things people wouldn't like. My mom calls me the mouse because I make a little squeaking noise. Shaking my head. Now that I said it, I have to do it. I'll go like this, flapping my arms. And everybody thought I was trying to flap. I'm like, no, you can't help it. It's not contagious. Like if I shook your hand and said, "Hi, my name's Caleb," you would not get Tourette's. Metal! They like come all the time. Coffee! Can you shut up? It's there. Why do you have to make fun of it? Why are you doing that? That's so annoying. Could you please stop? They just think I'm real crazy. A person who has Tourette's isn't like a whole another person. Like me. I'm a regular kid. There's a point in a friendship. With some...
So he's a regular kid. This is really good. It kind of talks about the kids and it shows you some of the things that they do. And yes, they don't always have the tics and things. I have a student this year that has Tourette's. He does a lot of blinking. He does a lot of eye rolling. It's kind of weird. When he talks, he's rolling his eyes and moving his head a lot, but they're not always flapping. And no, they don't always swear. That's like very, very rare that happens. So some of the things, get this. There we go. Back in. Okay, so they are, oh, and I did not go really quick back to the information. Boys are affected 3 to 5 times more often than the girls are. 86% are usually diagnosed with some other condition, which you guys were talking. I didn't know that was the word for that. In fact, I still can't even say it. Thank you. So, and it gives you numbers on what they have. The student I have has Tourette's. He is diagnosed with ADD/ADHD. He's also being tested for being on the autism spectrum as well as being tested for ODD. So he is quite the little package this year. A lot of fun. So, anyways, they do oftentimes have other things, which makes schooling very hard for them. Very hard. Not only, are they just having to do the things that they're doing, it's going to make it hard for their reading and the writing and math. They might have issues with speaking, presenting. As you can see, that it's just a struggle for them. So one of the things I liked was, do you think teachers in your school would provide extended time on reading assignments and handwritten work if the child had eye, head, neck, shoulder, arm tics? That's something we need to think about. Yes, we gotta help them. And some of the things, tips, because some of the movements might be distracting, put them somewhere where they're not the center of attention, maybe at the back of the classroom so they don't feel like they're distracting the others and feel like they're being watched all the time.
But not next to the door.
But not next to the door.
somewhere where they can still be a part of things as well. And being tolerant, you know, that also is a good thing. So that's second time. Short breaks. The student I have, he has to go to the bathroom a lot. He knows when and I don't even think he has to. He just needs to get up and move. So he knows he's got 1 to 2 minutes just to get up, walk out, use the restroom, hopefully get a drink, whatever he needs to do. Taking tests in a private room so they're not bothering or being, you know, a center of attention as they're having the whole class is quiet and they're having their little moments. So just not drawing extra attention to them that they don't need. And then working with the other students. That's a big one. Again, with all of these. Okay.
I love that it says tape recorded.
Yeah, and presenting, letting them present in any way. And that's the technology, letting them, and that's right, that recording devices, speech to text, reading software, there's a lot of things. And then as we were talking about with this, all this OHI, making plans, some of them, we were talking about the IEP versus the 504, or with a 504, or somehow with the student I had this year, we went with the IEP route. We could have gone with the 504 route, but we decided to do the IEP route so he could work in a smaller group setting. And because he falls under the OHI, he really actually did not have to be tested academically because he has a medical diagnosis through OHI. So they just actually did the paperwork after their 57 days. They did the paperwork, and they did test him with the Woodcock Johnson, but they didn't have to come in and do the observation and do all the academic rigorous steps that they usually do because he falls under the OHI, which would happen with a lot of these, as we were talking about, depending on the severity. Okay. Sorry, I went long. There was a lot. Okay, Bree.
I commend Bree on her bravery for going on the very last possible day.
Yay! I was hoping to go very
Oh,
last.
she
So
likes
I
that.
wouldn't call us brave. I was like,
she told me
everyone's going to be so sick of these by now. They're all going to be on
take
Facebook.
as long as you want.
I just mean the first time mom assuming that she would have her baby on schedule.
And I was hoping that he would come, so then I'd be like, sorry guys, I really wanted to present, but I can't.
When are you due again?
January 16th, so still have a little while. But.
You have control. So how many more days of your life?
Yes.
A
few more.
That's awesome.
My first one. That is fun.
I just plug it in.
I need to do that with
this light.
Yeah, and the speaker one if you need, if you're going to have any. There you go.
Chocolate.
Yeah, figured. I don't care. Chocolate. She went into system preferences to do the mirroring. Here, do you want me to show her?
I do want to.
I'm so proud.
What did you learn in your master's program, Carol? How to mirror displays.
You know what? Our old Macs, the white Macs, had the button that you would push. And then we got these new ones. I'm like, where the heck is my button? I hate that. I just got it.
Master's degree.
Yes.
And then I just.
Nice, you're done.
I'm done.
If I close it, will it stay up?
Yeah, close it. It'll save.
Man.
Wait, how do I?
Bottom left corner. Or there.
Oh, from the top. Okay. Okay. I had orthopedic impairments, which are physical disabilities. Really listen.
Well, I say Voki.
Okay. I think I say Voki.
You never know.
You do say Voki whenever we talk about it.
Okay.
Because we talk about it every day.
I know we do. Okay. He's supposed to be a doctor, and he has like a doctor outfit, but you can't really tell in the picture. But he's going to explain what it is.
orthopedic impairments adversely affect a child's educational performance. The term includes impairments caused by a congenital anomaly such as club foot or an absence of some member. It could be impairments caused by disease such as poliomyelitis and bone tuberculosis. It could also be impairments from other causes such as cerebral palsy, amputations, fractures, or burns that cause contractures.
Okay, so
Thanks, creepy dude.
So, to break it down, their impairments, they could be caused by different things. One way they could be birth defects, like if you're missing a limb or missing multiple limbs. If you have a club foot, spina bifida, which causes paralysis. So it could also not necessarily be missing a limb, but not having movement or not being able to use limbs. It could be an impairment caused by disease. So maybe you're not born with it, such as the poliomyelitis and bone tuberculosis, which also cause paralysis of limbs, so you can't use them. It could be caused by other causes, cerebral palsy or amputations, fractures or burns that cause deformities or bad joints. So again, you just can't use your body parts like most people can. And 2 years ago, I had a student in my class who had no arms, no legs. He was a head, a torso, little stubs, and 2 little stubs up here. And he had to have a 504A with him all the time. So I interviewed her. So I'm going to play this interview. And after I played it to listen to it, and I'm very loud, because I'm right by the phone, and she's very quiet. So I'm sorry, I am going to turn it up so you can hear her. But just so you know, I will be very loud.
For a student I will refer to as Josh. He had some orthopedic impairments due to birth defects when he was born. He did not have any arms or legs.
Okay, so how long did you work with Josh?
I worked with Josh for about 2.5 years.
What did you do with him at school?
At school, I assisted him in getting his supplies out of his desk, helped him in the lunchroom to be able to eat, and assisted him in the restroom.
And what could he do for himself?
Josh could do a lot of things on his own. He could actually write by using his chin. He could read a book, and he would use his chin as well to turn the pages. He would use a pencil that he would raise as the way he was raising his hand.
How did he react or feel about having this impairment?
Sorry, I just wanted to interject. So when I asked her, like, what could he do on his own, I was very impressed with what he could do, because when I first heard I was going to have him in my class, I thought, she needs to do everything for him. But really, she would sit there all day, and she was so bored. She was like, can you give me stuff to do? I'm like, absolutely. So she graded all my homework. I gave her projects every day. So I kind of got spoiled. I had, like, my own personal aide, and she did everything. Because Josh, hopefully I don't slip this page really, Josh could do everything. He just found ways to adapt with what he had, but he could do it, not always as fast or as neat. Like when he would write, he would hold the pencil between his chin and his chest. So it was very sloppy, but he could do it. So he could do everything we did. So I was very impressed with everything that he could do.
You know, Josh was a pretty neat kid. He didn't really recognize that he had as much of an impairment. From the other kids, he liked to be included as everybody else. There was even students that would ask him, you know, do you wish you had arms and legs? And his response to them was, I don't know any different. I was born this way. So I don't know that it really impacted him a whole lot.
Okay. What do you think helped him to succeed in class?
I think the biggest thing for him is being included, feeling like he was like everybody else. He wanted to participate in things like the other students.
Okay. Do you feel his impairment affected his academics in any way?
Not at all. He was a very bright kid. He's like any other kid that if they didn't want to do their homework, he wasn't one that didn't want to do his homework. But once he buckled down and did it, he is a very smart kid.
Okay. What modifications or accommodations helped him?
His desk was higher due to his wheelchair, so it could fit up close to him so that he was able to write on, it's a little easel that leaned, that we stuck his paper on so he could write, and he would have larger pencils to be able to stick in his chin, and he would write with his chin.
What did Josh do in PE when he couldn't participate?
There wasn't a whole lot that he couldn't do because most PE teachers had activities that were suitable for him. He, like the other kids, could throw a ball. He would just stick it in his chin and throw it, and if they were running around the room, he would just race his wheelchair around the room. So he was like the other kids mostly.
And how did he feel about going to PE?
He loved PE. That was probably one of his favorite things, just to be able to be active like the other kids.
Okay. What special services was he able to receive because of his impairment?
There was a lady that came once a month to come in and adjust his desk and his chair and his equipment. But other than that, that's really all he had.
Okay. What assistive technology was available for him?
There was a device that we had when he would go to computer lab. It was a camera that would sit on the top of the computer screen, and then there was a little dot that we would place on his forehead that had a sensor. And as he moved his head, it played like the mouse, so he would use his head.
That's so good.
And if he wanted to click on something, he would hold his head still for a few seconds and it would click. But that actually drove him nuts. He wanted to be like the other kids, so he would ask for a pencil that he could use to press the keyboard like we do with our fingers, and he would use his chin to maneuver the mouse. He actually preferred that than the camera device.
Okay. Can you think of any other technology that would have been beneficial for him that he didn't have available here?
I think if there's a computer program out where you're able to speak into the computer and it types the words out for you, I think that would have helped him a lot because where he used his chin to write, he was a lot slower than the other kids as far as writing out stories and stuff like that. So I think that would have been awesome for him.
Okay, what do you think teachers should know or do if they have a student with an orthopedic impairment?
I think the biggest thing is help them to feel like they're like everybody else, that they don't have an impairment. I think just like us, they want to be included.
Okay, and so do you think teachers who use a lot of movement and get their kids up and moving throughout the day, should they adjust their activities to fit the student with the orthopedic impairment and maybe do less of that, or what do you think?
I think it depends mainly on the student. With Josh, he loved to be included. So as far as Josh, no, he just keep the activities the same as anybody else. I think the biggest thing for him is he didn't want to stand out because of his orthopedic impairment. He wanted to be as normal as everybody else.
All right, well, thank you so much.
Okay, so when I first heard he was going to be in my class, I thought, oh no, I do a lot of brain breaks where we get up and we move and we do a lot of movement. And I thought, he's just going to sit there. How is he going to feel? And I worried about him and his feelings. But then talking to her, I was like, oh. So I didn't change anything, and we did all that, and he would participate, and it was fine. Like I said, I think it depends on the kid. I'm sure there are some kids who maybe it would bother more. But we're going to watch another video in a little bit about another student who's kind of like Josh. But yeah, we would kind of like follow the leader around the room, and I would pick students and say, they would pick an action. So someone would say, hop on one foot. So we'd all hop on one foot. Then I'd pick someone else, and they'd say, walk in slow motion. And we would just do different actions around the room. And yeah, he couldn't do all of them, but he just liked just going around the room in his wheelchair, and he was happy with it and fine. And, so I didn't really adapt my brain breaks very much because he would just do what he could with them, and he was fine with it.
I actually taught his sister, and so I didn't teach him, but I still had to do some accommodations for her because she had to leave the classroom several times to help him in bathroom breaks and other kind of stuff. And so you may not be teaching a specific child, but we all have to do our part. So
yeah, so Rhiannon, that was probably her biggest thing that she would do with him was bathroom. He couldn't do that by himself. But if she was ever gone and she had to get a sub, he didn't like for subs to take him to the bathroom, which I understand. So he would have his sister take him. So we would have to sister would come and help him throughout the day.
She was awesome.
She was. So Rhiannon mostly just did that, and lunchtime helped him eat. Other than that, he did everything. She would get stuff out of his desk, put it up, and then he would flip the pages with his chin. And so she really didn't do too much for him. He was pretty independent, other than bathroom and eating. Okay, I'm going to have you guys do a little activity. I have a little sheet for you. It's not very long. There are like 4 questions. You're going to go around the room. I have 2 red QR codes over there and 2 blue ones over here. On the sheet it says, use the red QR codes to answer these 3 questions and the blue QR codes to answer this question. So I'm going to give a few minutes for you to go around, scan those, see if you can find the answers.
I got one.
You're welcome. If you want to share.
Pointy.
We don't write with crayons.
I'll make mistakes. That's confidence.
Oh, gotcha.
Use the red one.
So. Some of them are videos, some of them are just websites. Some are longer than others. Yes. Yep. And if you would like to work with a partner, you may, or you can do it by yourself.
What special services are available?
Oh, thanks.
Early intervention, birthday students. Why?
Because I'm holding my iPad.
The texture.
Well, this is going to be brief. Both of them are the same, right?
No, they're different.
No, it was because I can't hold my piece.
They're different. But they have different
Education, they have
answers.
intriguing.
They should be different. I'm so sick of QR codes.
You tried so much. I'm like, I don't know.
Well, it was more the printing issue. Our printers at school would not print, so I had the hardest time getting them. And then the printers would print multiples of one, and they looked the same, so I didn't know which ones I had. It was such a mess. And then I needed those on blue and those ones on red. So I am sick of QR codes.
Are you still ready
And then
to
Hey, be nice to her.
I mean,
I like it.
Yeah, but be nice.
The ink was on the back.
I know.
Oh,
I know it. No, I knew it was. No,
Sorry.
Sorry. Perhaps we should have had some on hand.
Yes.
Stocked up. So
Maybe we
no,
should
my
plan ahead.
point was, it was like this gift where a school is.
I was like, dang it, I thought it was free this year.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Excuse me.
We're close to
Yeah,
off, like,
QR codes
hot
are
dog, wasn't it?
I wrote
Like,
down
close
A's.
to rock, right? They're like, So
this year.
we're gonna close stock
Oh,
now.
no,
We're
I don't
gonna keep giving you $400.
Well, last year I was the one to
And
with
my-
my first year. This is my fourth
That's
year
like
teaching.
double.
So now I'm just put on the rest of the AP
I'll be out before.
Wow.
I'll be
And
fine.
A's are getting
And all the teachers are complaining.
Of course.
Really?
I know. I thought I was free. Dang it. So I'm hoping he comes before she because then I have to help this up. And then I'm hoping it'll be too late for her to come.
Yeah.
Hurry up, come.
No, it was just like every time I would forget and I just go print something and I go down and I'm like,
They're like
my
1,000 pages.
printer,
Yeah,
my
so-
printer is so old,
Yeah.
it won't, the software won't even work like on the, like I can't even. Yeah, it won't, like, no, I'm serious, I promise. Okay. It's not just me being stupid, I promise.
Okay. Paragraphs. What are these? Yeah, don't call that part. Right.
I just hate it. And I would have it on my phone.
Yep.
Yeah, when it's not there.
I want one they'll do like straight from my iPad.
Once-
If I do get it, it's like- Oh, nice.
I actually didn't know that they would do that until I played with this the other day.
Oh, sweet. That's super.
I would love like half of my.
House printers.
I know, you're
Yeah.
I'm just so like,
Like the only one.
Like, no, you don't.
I think I've got that.
But let's go do
Maybe.
I'm the draft.
Wow, look at that fancy crayon writing.
I'm a lot of time. Thank you. You're right. Oh, by the way, let me just tell you.
What I was gonna say. I don't have a little person, I might have the belly for the little person.
Really? Yeah, except maybe yesterday and today. I've felt really warm, but I don't know if it's just because my heater in my classroom is turned up and it's been nicer weather outside. I don't know. Either that or he's trying to do his job. So, anyway, we're jackets.
How does it end up in front of you?
I don't know. They were just there. Okay, show me on your fingers. How many more minutes do you need? Two. Okay, keep going. Wait, we didn't do the other.
I'm just ready for it. You don't have to point me to. That's what you need. But I don't have a car. Yeah. When I got that, you're texting me like 24 hours straight. Now we're in this environment. I got it. Oh. Cool. What is? Programming services and workforce. I'm assuming we click on that.
Yeah, just read in that paragraph.
You're not supposed to be listening.
You're not
It's
supposed to.
tech.
Yeah.
You're
It's
too simple.
You need to. It's right there.
I want to push something. Oh, sweet. Occupational therapy.
By providing.
basically on some early intervention.
Wait, what's the
Special
difference?
education, occupational therapy, physical therapy. Same thing. Occupational physical therapy. Same thing. Referring to occupational therapy, fine motor skills. Doesn't boil more down to that fine motor skills. Probably. I physical therapy is like movement. Probably. I don't know. That sounds right, but I don't know for sure. Question, Ryan, what else did you see before? Let me go back in. And early interventions. Okay. Oh, so
I mean, she was a little privileged. She did have
I don't know.
Let's say like 1 more minute.
Yeah. So he can give you the answers. Don't
Yeah, and
For fun?
For fun, yes.
For fresh?
Yes. For friend sharing. Oh, fresh. I like
Friend sounds better.
I thought because you were cheating. Friend sharing. Yeah. Okay, about 30 more seconds.
You know what? I just Googled QR codes and you can see where it takes you. Because I have no idea.
junior high.
Oh, okay, well that's good. Yeah, they didn't really think about that before your song.
But now we can't.
Alright, even if you're not done, let's have you go back to your seats. So we have time for everything else. Even if you didn't get all the answers, that's okay. Alright, what did you guys get for what percent of students with disabilities have an orthopedic impairment?
0.1% in public schools, 1% of all students.
Yes, good. Do most orthopedic impairments impair one's intelligence? No, and it does say most, so I mean some could. But even with Kevin, his brain.
Josh.
I knew I was going to do that. With Josh, his brain was not affected at all. His intelligence was the exact same it would be if he had all of his limbs. Okay, what are some classroom accommodations teachers? I just realized there's a typo there. It should not be an apostrophe. Sorry. What are some classroom accommodations teachers could do to help students with orthopedic impairments? What you guys get? Communication boards, enough room to move around.
What classroom?
Classroom.
Oral tests.
Oral tests. Yep, that was one. Another one that one of these blue ones I think said. Nope, this is under red. Recording your lectures or your lessons. This is probably more for upper grades, but students need to take notes quickly. Well, if they can't, if they're like Josh. So recording it so they can go back later, listen to it, or write it out at their own pace or whatever. We'll talk about a few more of those in just a minute. Okay, then what are some special services that are available for students with orthopedic impairments?
Occupational therapy.
Yep.
Physical therapy.
Yep.
Adaptive
equipment. Yep. Which Josh didn't have any of those except for some adaptive equipment, but he didn't go to physical therapy, which I don't know if that was just his parents didn't sign him up for it, he didn't qualify it. I don't know why he didn't. He wasn't pulled out. Oh.
He has
limbs to therapy.
no limbs.
Okay, I guess that makes sense. Okay, I guess that would be why. Okay, we're gonna move on.
Sometimes transportation too, which can affect classroom because a lot of times they have to leave class early or they'll get there late.
Yeah, and with Josh, he had to, every day he left like 5 minutes early because he had to get on the bus before everyone else. So, yeah, you're right.
I even had a student who she just had to leave 5 minutes early because it took a lot for the wheelchair to navigate the hallway.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, we're going to watch this video about this boy named Jonathan Francis. So, I want you to think about how is he similar to Josh and how he's different.
Meet Jonathan Francis, a vibrant 15-year-old student at the Robert Lightbourne High School in St. Thomas. Jonathan has an orthopedic impairment. At a tender age, his parents had the task of trying to explain to him that he was a bit different from the other children around him.
I explained that I cannot going to do all the things that the rest of children can do.
An orthopedic impairment is a bodily impairment caused by congenital anomalies and diseases that are severe enough to negatively affect a child's educational performance. However, this is definitely not the case with Jonathan. He's quite the exception.
Based on our school record and based on his performance I have seen, he has always been one of the top students in the school.
You see, it doesn't affect his
My
intelligence.
brothers and sisters and parents motivate me that I can do anything, no matter what.
I'm proud to say this. He has something going on with the Almighty God because from the very time he started to go to school, each and every one of his work we just see ticky, and I know something was great.
I want to do accounts, English and IT, thank you.
He doesn't necessarily want a lot of special assistance. I know that the last surgery he did, corrective surgery that he did on his hands was done, I think, a month ago. And one of the recommendations that they made was, because he would normally have to use his hand to brace, they asked that we have something specially fitted for him. So we had made the arrangement, and when we brought it to the class, he was kind of upset because he said he did not want to look or feel different from any of the students. He would rather the students assist him rather than having other things or other desks that regular students do not have.
I'm not different in no bad way. I can do many things that they can.
When it come on to like a psychological problem, knowing that he's disabled, I haven't seen that in him. You know, he's just one of those normal kids around us, you know.
When he went to the last visit to the corrective surgery, I think in dialogue with the doctor, he said that the doctor said that they could straighten the arms. However, he may lose some of the comfort that he now has.
When I fix it, I will not be able to use it. So I say I would prefer comfortable to it still now.
Look at his
because I
handwriting.
can use it.
Jonathan's father is very proud and supportive of his son.
I want him to be satisfied with himself, you know. So knowing to the fact that he has made that decision, well, I mean, he will be able to be satisfied, you know.
It might surprise you, but Jonathan is an aggressive football player.
I have to in the attacking position. My favorite team is Chelsea and Real Madrid, and I'm bringing Brazil for this Euro Cup.
My name is Jonathan Francis, and I am going to be an accountant.
Okay. Stops? No.
I love how he said he's going to be an architect. It wasn't, I want to be an architect.
Yeah,
I'm going to be an architect.
That's great. Okay. Okay, how is he similar to Josh?
Very independent.
Mm-hmm.
Very independent.
Confident.
Confident. What about how he wanted to be treated?
They both want to be accepted and loved for who they are.
Yeah, they just wanted to just be like treated like everybody else, just be loved for who they're. They didn't want to stand out. Good. They're both comfortable the way they are. I thought it was interesting when Josh, when kids would ask him, "Do you wish you had arms and legs?" And he would say, "I don't know any better, so no, I guess not. I'm just used to this." And same with him. He had the option to have a surgery. Josh did not have the same option, so I don't know if he would have taken it or not, like this kid didn't. So they said there's a surgery, but it will change the way you do things. Like, you're comfortable now, you'll have to start doing things differently. And he decided, no, I'm comfortable this way, I'll just keep this impairment. Which I thought about that, and I thought, if I'm used to writing like this, if I was told I had to start writing a different way or learn something and do it differently than I've been taught my whole life, I don't know if I would want to. That would be hard. So he just got used to what he had, and he made it work, and he's comfortable with it. How are they different? Josh and Jonathan.
They have different cultures, which will influence what they can and can't do.
Good, yes.
Different ages?
Different ages, yeah. Jonathan's a lot older. So when I had Josh, he was in 3rd grade. Their impairments are very different. Jonathan can walk. He has his arms. His hands are just a little different than ours.
He's an aggressive soccer player.
Yes. Where Josh didn't have any limbs. So different impairment. But I thought that was still interesting how they both, even though the impairments were different, they still were very similar in a lot of ways. Okay, so we talked a little bit about some accommodations, modifications. I'm going to kind of skip around, not go in order. So these are some things that teachers can do. You can, with your instruction, focus it on the development of different fine and motor skills and help those students out. When arranging the classroom furniture, when you're assigning seats, keep in mind, do they have a wheelchair? Do they have walkers, crutches, or cranes? With Josh, I always had to have him sit on the outside because his wheelchair was hard to fit in rows, so I could never have him sit right here in the middle, because if I had a kid sitting here with the chair pulled out, there's no way he could get into that spot. So I always had to have him on the outside. Also, his desk was substantially higher than the other desks, so his wheelchair could fit underneath. So if I had him in the front, the kid behind him would have a harder time seeing. So there were a few things that I had to keep in mind. But he didn't mind the back, and he wouldn't, sometimes I'd put him up more on the side so he was up closer, but still could get to his spot easily. So that was something I had to keep in mind with Josh. Other than that, with the furniture, I always kept stuff pretty spaced out, so he could get to the books and everything else. It was mostly just where he sat that I had to make sure he could get in and out of. And then the text-to-speech, making sure that your students have the communication and other assistive devices that are needed to help them with their learning. And that's going to take us to the next page. So assistive technology. For time, we're not going to watch this. You can if you want to. It's this kind of high-tech attachment you can put on the desk. It's kind of like a smartboard in a way, but like an individual one where he can, it shows this kid writing on it. Josh had one similar, but it wasn't techy. It was just wood that held his book up for him, so he could write and not have to bend forward. He could just stay in his wheelchair, and it would bring it to him so he could write. So he had something similar to this. Having different keyboards or different mice. Is that, you would say mice instead of mouse? Mice. Different mice. And I have a website with that shows some examples of what they look like. You can look at those later. The infrared sensors, that's kind of what Josh used. But like Rhiannon said, he hated it. I saw him use it once just because I wanted to see it. So he did it. But he hated it. He would rather just use his chin on the mouse, use his pencil on the keyboard. And that's pretty much what I always saw, but those are available. I wanted to focus more on the speech to text because that was the one that Rhiannon said she thinks would be most beneficial. And when I was thinking about it, I thought, yeah, that would be very useful for someone like Kevin or Josh, someone like Josh, who, when he's writing, when he's typing with a pencil, one letter at a time, it's going to take him a lot longer to write a story than it would for kids with 10 fingers. So these would be great. So I found a couple. So dictation is one online. So I'm just going to show you how it works. Okay, so you hit start dictation, and then it's going to type everything I say, period, new line. Sometimes it gets what you say wrong, but it still will type it a lot faster than a kid with no limbs would be able to, period, new line. If it makes a mistake, you can hit stop listening and just go back and fix where there's a mistake, period. And I'm going to do stop listening. Sometimes I feel like it's better than other times. Like yesterday when I was playing with it, it made so many errors. For today, probably. Yeah, that was it.
But maybe you're her.
Hopefully I wasn't. That would not be good.
That's not your belly?
It is, actually. I'm just trying to hide my addictions. Or today it actually did fairly well. And it can do some other commands. The hard thing with this is you have to say the command just right, like new line. I think if I say new paragraph, or I worded it differently yesterday, and it wrote what I said, and I was like, no. So you have to know the exact command. So for me, who I don't use it all the time, it would frustrate me, but someone who has to use this, they would memorize the commands and they would know what to
you want
say.
to say the word period and not the punctuation period?
I don't know. See, you would probably just have to go in and you would have to type that. But still, that'd be a lot faster to just type the one word than all of that.
Try and say a sentence with it.
What?
Try and say a sentence with it.
Okay. So what sentence could I say with the word period?
What class do you have second period?
That's a better one than the one I was thinking. Yes, we are. What class do you have second period?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, WR, I mean, it's not
It did
perfect.
it.
Well, I've actually changed it.
It said temple run for a minute.
It did, I saw that too.
I'm recording all of you using it.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool.
I challenge one of you to write chapters 4 and 5 of your thesis using dictation.
Challenge.
So that'll be fun. Actually, I would recommend not
You have to
using
read it.
this dictation.
Fix it.
Yeah, you'll have to
Writing
fix
it
it.
in here and everybody.
That was my thought too.
Yeah.
I was like,
I would
I dictated
use.
this.
you dictated this. Tell me what you think.
It works.
It's here now.
Does all over here? Oh, awesome. So they could even have that up when the teacher's lecturing, and it's recording it right now. So that's another way you could use it.
Could you use it for that one who did the presentation and they wanted the student to know how often they spoke out of turn? So you just have it on a recording everything they said.
You could, but it might pick up other
But if you
people.
have a microphone, if you have a kid.
Oh, maybe.
Something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. We'd have to see if that works. Because I don't know if it would still pick up other voices. I don't know, but yeah. Yeah, that could work. There's also this one, voice note too, for Chrome. You can just like, I don't know what they're called, but like you put it on your Chrome and
An extension.
yeah, that's the word, an extension. I know there's a word for it. Okay, the function is the one that I want to talk mostly about. It's the one that Carol talked about already.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was supposed to share that story really hard. I know.
But this one's really cool because with dictation, I can only do it on that one screen that I just pulled up. This one you can use in Word and online. So if you're going to use this for your thesis, I would use function because I'm going to pull up a word. And this one has more commands. Pull up a blank. And the first time I used it, I was able to get the box of commands to pull up, and now I can't find it anymore. So it's there somewhere. To get like the exact words of how to use or what to say. So play around with it and find it. And if you find it, tell me how you got it. So you just hit function. Sometimes this one's a little slow to come up. You'll get a little, but you then have to wait for the little microphone. So it's a little slower. I feel like you can do more with this one though. It has more commands. I don't know all of them. And this is the same thing. You have to say them exactly right. Okay, so now it's ready. So it's going to type everything I say.
And then you press done.
You don't have to usually. It will recognize when you stop talking. Usually.
There we go.
Backspace.
Erase that. I think it's erase that. Maybe not. Erase.
Delete.
Oh, it took me to the front. But you can even scroll up. I was doing that yesterday. I had a lot of writing. I was like, scroll up, scroll up, scroll up, scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. So you can actually do a lot with this one that you can't do with dictation. It's really fun to play around with, but it's kind of annoying when you can't get the list of commands to say it exactly right.
I'm going to get Jason's dissertation or thesis back with a bunch of swear words in it.
You probably are. Yeah, you're going to want to read through, because this one also makes a lot of mistakes. Like, I did not just say, Phil, take me to the front of me. I mean, sometimes I'm like, I don't know where you got that from. Sometimes it's great. But what's really cool about this one is you can also use it online. So it's not just on Word. So if I wanted to, again, it's still kind of finicky when it works. Gmail.com. And when I hit, it's not enter, because I've tried enter and it won't go. So again, I'll have to play around with it a little bit more. But it works online, it works in Word. So this one's cool because it works in different, it's not just, like with dictation, it was just that page. Function works everywhere, which is really cool.
Except in Google Docs, just so as you know.
It does not work in Google Docs?
It does not. Last I checked.
Oh, I didn't try that. I tried it on PowerPoint, and I did get it to work. So I just assumed it.
Google Docs has some proprietary underlying programming that I believe blocks it, but last I checked.
Yeah, that's only on Mac.
Yes, maybe it's only on Mac.
Oops.
Well, why would it take anything off, right? Josie's not here.
RPCs are.
Question when it's on your laptop.
Okay, I have this activity. We want to do it. I was going to have you guys, so I mostly focused on missing limbs, but there are these others. I was going to have you guys each pick one that you are interested in or one that you already know a lot about to just tell us, give a brief description of what it is, and tell us which accommodations are similar or different to the ones we already talked about with missing limbs. So do you want us to do that? Or okay. If you want to later, you can. Just know there are these others. So some of the accommodations might be different. Like with Jonathan, I wouldn't have to worry about
Josh.
No, Jonathan Francis.
I was like, wait, which one are we talking about now?
Yeah, I got it right this time. I wouldn't have to put him on the outside. I could put him anywhere. So not all the accommodations work for every kind of orthopedic impairment. If you are wanting to know how they're different, here are some others. You can look those up later.
I want to know what the last two are, though.
Yeah, if you want to know what those last two are, you can look those up. Okay, the end.
Well done.
We need that.
Oh, and I tried to email it, but it's too big. So
We're gonna
share the
convert it. She
Google
has to
Site.
take the videos out.
So I will get it to you.
That it wouldn't upload because she has videos, so we'll play around with that.
Okay. All right, so some notes for next time. We're going to go 5 to 7. Okay, that's because it's final.
The final, yeah.
Final. Next
Like
time.
next class or next semester?
The next class. Period. The next week. Next week. Okay, so 5 to 7 next time, so make sure that's on your calendar. Dr. Wingsgard and I will be sending out the description for summative reflection. Just a quick assignment for you to bring it all back together. You can do it in any media format you would like, because I know that you want to kill me if I say the word BLOG one more time. So, any media format you would like. Yes, I did make it so you could edit that survey once you had submitted it. Yeah, so that'll be kind of your last wrap it up. Make sure your lesson plans are done. Make sure you've given us any materials from your presentation so that we can give those to everybody. You also should have received today an email with a link to a Google form to give me some input for our last class together ever. So
Is that that's different than the SRIs, right?
yes,
Okay.
yeah, this is input for next semester's class, which I'm planning right now. So.
I next year when you do this class again, I'm assuming when you do your SRIs, you'll give us some, your full opinion.
Yeah, this class would be a really important one for you to do SRIs for 2 reasons. One of them, this we feel is a pretty
Anonymous.
key class in the program, and so we'd like some feedback on it since we don't have a lot of models to draw from. This class really doesn't exist in a lot of programs. So, what's that? Put it at the front.
You want it earlier in the course sequencing? Okay.
The other reason why this is so important, right? I'm tenured, so I just don't care. But Dr. Wingsgard is not, and so she needs SRIs as part of her tenure process. So if you could do the SRIs so that she gets feedback and can include those in her portfolio, that would be really lovely. Those are they email you a link, and you're supposed to give feedback and all that kind of stuff. Yes.
I know.
Yeah,
Well, yes, you know,
doesn't seem very popular in graduate programs.
I'm like, oh, what's going on?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I
What
know
is
you're not
that?
doing for graduate program.
But 20%, how often do you get? You get about 20%.
When they're really mad at me, I hear about it.
Oh, so no news is good news.
Right?
Okay.
Okay, so those are the big things. We'll send you the assignment description for the summative reflection. Make sure all your assignments are in and do my form and answer what you're doing.
Do you want all of the lesson plans turned in the same
I did.
document?
You can do them same document. You can do one after another. You can do.
But all of them collectively are 100 points.
Yes.
Hey, Carol.
Could you change it from 4 to 3?
I'm gonna take one for Jerry, right?
Yeah,
It's always been 3.
I'll take 4. That's what I always think.
Krista has always done more than was required.
Is there any type of question? Oh,
Hold
go
on.
ahead.
What was that?
Is there any type of
Oh, shut up. You are that student. You are the student that's like, well, I do that too. Say my name.
Say my name.
Yeah.
You are gonna put your presentation up.
Yeah, I gave it to Dr. Cox. And
So it will.
Yeah.
And food. Bring.
Oh yeah, I told you I'd forget potluck. Are we gonna do one or not?
Someone has to.
We are.
We
Somebody
are?
has to.
Lacey, we do that.
We have to do a potluck so Ginger brings two.
They're on the
Right? Ginger's treats
Right?
are the best.
Ginger's treats are the best.
Okay, you guys are awesome.
Whether she makes them or she makes them.
Good job, you got 2, 3, 3. Was it fun researching or?
What did you get? I thought I
I'm gonna send it to you.
Oh yeah, it was actually surprising how fast we
I can check it out.
Yeah.
And then,
Now when
I like it when you accommodated for me.
Instead of like, gift to the symposium, 0 points. It was. Oh yeah.
So I set it up.
What? We do what?
What is it?
Get to debate synthesis.
0 points.
Next time.
No, we did that like.
Yeah, that was great.
I know.
When we talked about the, remember when we did that whole debate about whether.
Yeah, you were here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you were there for the debate.
Oh, I was.
No,
You
no,
got
no.
that? Did you get a grade on it?
No, it's 0 points, 0 points, but I did get it. Yeah, I did get that one.
Well, I was wondering, I'm like, is that like?
And a 0 points, I don't know.
I really
What?
I'll carry it if I get to keep it off.
They're not away from
Yeah,
we want to play
We can keep the Play-Doh and crayons, we'll carry it.
I'm sorry.
Oh, is it?
I will give you this one. I was going to say, I was hoping to get to this, but I like you. I'm sorry. We're good. What can I do for you? Okay, so I have all my surveys done. I don't have all the parent ones in yet. Okay. I'm just wondering, what should I do? Don't say. Now.
Okay, so we need to do the descriptive statistics and any coding that's required. Descriptives are easy.
Oh, that's I can do that.
But there aren't numbers and percentages. So you can say, you know.
Oh, so what percentage?
Yeah,
said
56% strongly disagreed with the statement.
Should I do a percentage for each one? 56 strongly disagreed.
Yeah.
Percent disagreed.
Yeah, and put it in a table for now so that we can see that.
Okay, so I know to do this one now.
Good. And your negatively worded items, you might want to reverse code them. So, yeah, because we could do 1, 2, 3, or 4 if you wanted to, and then you could do a computing
For the present.
if you wanted to.
Oh, boy.
That's easy. It's not hard. Or you could just do straight percentage, whichever you.
I tried to pick colors.
Percentages sounds easiest to me.
Okay.
That'd be nice to
Okay. And then what you're going to want to do then is group these by positively worded and negatively worded.
Okay, that's what I was. And I think my kids got confused too, because I had some kids
Yeah.
who were like, it's hard for people to be accepted. And some kids were like, I love school. I feel like I belong here. Sometimes they don't feel like they belong.
Yeah.
So some kids I can tell they were kind of confused.
So in chapter 5, we'll discuss that. And
Okay.
say it's possible that
And then
really good things
do
through the whole negatively
next
worded thing.
Yeah, I think we should have kept it
Yeah.
all the same.
Yeah, now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, what happened to me?
2/3 of the way through.
Yeah, well, this one we got from
Yeah.
somewhere else, so that's why this one
Well,
looked at it.
So yeah, chapter 5 is for discussion so that we can say
We'll say on that, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I like this one again.
Yeah, so this one, just do percentages.
I was putting together the TBI, isn't it?
Yeah, likewise with this one, just do percentages, and then the open-ended you need to code. Just look for patterns. Programs they liked, why they liked them.
I'm gonna add.
Okay.
Video.
Your video
And
really
then
helped
parent
a ton.
ones
I
is
put
kind
it
of the
together.
same
That's
percentage.
a good idea. That's like the
I know.
I like videos.
I like the well.
I know. Well, they all. Of course.
They are.
Not just
They
visual.
show it.
They all. What is this
There's
question?
no,
You feel didn't really help. They all help. Oh, well, that's good.
That's so how
All of them did not help.
Google
Oh,
Slides.
me.
Because I cannot.
No. I'm just putting it together kind of like tabs. Section 1 of the tabs. So
Know about
that's
other
part
people.
of theory,
I cannot know about other people.
handouts,
Cannot
stuff from
know about other
websites.
people.
Okay.
Fifth
grader for ya.
Well, that's
Can't learn about other students.
Well, I'm trying to
That's very true.
because I And I noticed that. This was more for their
I'm so
parents.
proud of our
Last blog because I was too boring.
We gotta get you better at writing blogs.
Yes.
More blogging!
You know, Carol's kids loved blogging, actually. So,
Okay, so yes, percentages and a little bit of coding on these ones.
Yeah.
And here was playways.
Okay, just percentages for everything. Will do. Okay, thank you.
No
Okay, this one is
problem.
right here.
Oh, okay.
I just saw this. The 0 points.
Debate session.
Don't worry about it.
I think you were either here or you weren't.
Okay.
I
I realized, I'm like, was I supposed to do this?
Yeah.
But it's 0
I
points.
have
So
one
like,
of those bonus
there's something that
stars
didn't
from
on there
Starbucks.
that didn't mention.
It was kind of informal.
Oh, congratulations on my one bonus star.
Yes.
Okay, so I already emailed to you. I already emailed it.
Correct. Okay.
So I want to do a quick screen task of how to embed a Padlet again. Can we do that really quick?
Yes.
So I go to the QuickTime player, right? I don't know where the QuickTime player is.
Hey,
Yep.
And we're gonna go file.
Want to show me something else fast?
Yep.
Okay, so I need my PowerPoint up and I need my Padlet, right?
Yep.
Can you do a quick little video?
What are you doing?
How to
And where are you
embed.
embedding it in a PowerPoint?
Can you do me?
Can we embed it in
Real
PowerPoint?
fast?
Hang on,
I don't know.
I you can link to it from PowerPoint, but embedding it.
Where did we embed it to? Did we embed it in Canvas?
Websites. Yeah, you can embed it in a Canvas page.
I have mine in sites.
I thought we embedded it in PowerPoint.
Do you have a slide that it would go on? Where would you put it?
Just create a new slide, I'm okay.
Okay.
I just wanted to, but it's not gonna, all we can do is link.
Let's see, it depends on which version of PowerPoint you have.
I have notes, but.
Yeah, I don't think this is 13. In 2013, I think we can do it. In 2011, we cannot.
They took it out for a while. Yep.
Okay, so then
You can link to it. So you can
Which
put a
is just a
hyperlink in.
hyperlink, I can do that. So when we embedded it, where did we embed it? Did we embed it in a Canvas page? I swear we embedded it somewhere.
Canvas page, or actually, it was in your web quest in a Google site. Yep. That's where we embedded it.
But we can embed it into Canvas.
Into a Canvas page, yeah, into a content page. Give me a help.
Yeah.
Okay. Give me a page.
Wait, our resource thingy? The resource thingy on Canvas?
Okay, so here's my question.
Just submit
How
the
do
link.
you,
Could it be in the same
I was trying to
different browser for
Same,
It's fine.
How do you make the picture?
And then I have another question while I'm pulling this up. Remember though, in a Canvas page?
Yes.
It shows how to make a Canvas page with you. Why would you make a Canvas page with you?
I did a different way, but.
So if you're having students do group work and you want them to synthesize what they learned in their group work and put it in a place where everybody would be able to access it really easily, you could make a wiki page and then have like a heading for each of their topics, and they could type in what they want to share.
Or a video, or like an open-ended, an open response, I could pull everywhere, open response would work the same way where everything would instantaneously pop up.
No, so remember, we've run into problems with wiki pages because if somebody's editing it and then somebody else comes in and starts editing it, they can write over each other. So you actually kind of have to take turns to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
3 A's?
I'm just trying to come up with my last master's lesson and I'm stuck.
Gotcha.
I've done.
I remember you told me that before. I forgot how it was. Yeah. That's better than no.
I guess.
I guess it's not as good as 2 weeks. I get
going back to a Padlet.
18. I get actually get a week off, but they're if you want to come in.
So you're trying to do it
maybe
throughout the
whatever.
whole lesson.
So kind of
I've
one
done an
day.
earpod, I've done a parrot, I've done flickers, I've done a Kahoot. I thought there was something like it could do the quizzes that's supposed to be self-paced.
So come in. Quiz is QUICZ.
Yeah.
Well, then I have to go back over the answers.
Don't pull everywhere.
Yeah, they
It
pay
doesn't
more.
present the same. Remember, I tried it here, and then I did it in my class, and there was update that morning, so I
Well, no,
updated it,
after.
and it totally,
After.
so on my computer, I
Grad
still see
school,
the blank
after
hole,
all
and on the projector, even though it shows on my
Yeah, I'm
computer
not
what it should be
envious.
producing, on the
What's the name of your
projector,
school?
it says your poll will display here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, they're
Yeah.
like,
That's
you know what,
It was awful.
there's
Yeah,
positive.
it's gonna tell me,
With positive,
QI.
I think it's CZI, I have 6 kids. You know,
That's
the positive, but the 6 kids,
Oh, onesie is the first time.
no,
B-U-I-Z,
it's like this.
Okay.
5 kids, 1
Have you
kid.
tried
and
that?
I've messed around with it a little tiny bit. It's a lot like.
I had a few groups where
Yeah, you can play that.
it's like 10 kids, but
Okay.
Okay, so right
and I always
here,
thought I would
screencast.
have rather take my class of 30 students
That-
deal with this.
And tablet.
Because those
So-
students are well behaved, they're like, sweet, we actually have, yeah. Somebody,
Yeah.
I'm like,
Here we go.
I have 4 kids. So I actually have a class of 11, but 6 of them have the knowledge of behaving.
Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do how to embed a tablet in the Canvas page. So what you're going to do is go to your Padlet
When you go on, it's like, come on, wait,
and
come on.
then go to the share out
Yeah.
So the positive is,
and copy the
a really
embedded.
small class.
Make sure you get the whole thing. It's
Each
for
kid is
everything.
worth 5 kids.
Yeah.
Copy.
And
Okay, then we're going to go over to your Canvas page, and here's the trick.
how about we do this?
Instead of being in your regular edit mode, you need to go into the HTML editor. So I clicked edit already, and I'm going to click on HTML editor, and I'm going to paste in that code. So that's trick number
We
1.
introduce.
Trick number 2, right here at the beginning of the code, it says iframe source equals, and then it just says / Padlet. That's not going to display in Canvas. So you have to go into
Yeah.
HTTPS.
Fun things sometimes it's not
Okay.
worth it.
Yeah.
Make sure that it knows that is a secure HTTP
I know,
or it's
but-
not going to display.
But no,
So you
it's,
actually have to manually
it's
type
a learning
that in,
experience.
It is.
and then you scroll
It is.
down
And
and save it.
I know it's not gonna be forever because the one guy that he's working there,
There you go.
I spent time and asked him, are you gonna stay here forever? He's like, probably. And I'm like, well, number one,
Yeah,
never
and then
been
the
to
screencast is
never been to
not
church.
gonna
Never
be on
been
the Canvas page,
where
right?
they're, no.
Now I have to save.
You know, that's all you know, is you
Yeah,
graduated,
to
keep
put
your.
it in there. So how do we
So I
save
actually-
the screencast? Yeah, I know I've done this.
Okay.
You know what it's like out there.
So it should have already
I know how
saved,
important
but
it
go
is.
to
Yeah.
Oh, no, when you.
It's harder.
I'll ask you.
And that's because you have 30 kids. But also, you
So
can
this
enjoy
is
it too.
easier.
You can enjoy it. Oh.
Yeah.
Because you have to, you also have
And then I'm just gonna put it on my
Smart.
desktop.
the nice,
Yeah.
the sincere, the tender instead of the,
All that.
the crap.
Naughties.
Yeah. Smells like crap.
Yeah, I would rather.
Okay,
I'll
then
take
I
my
can
30.
email it to you, and then I can actually put it on
So this,
my
you said this was
page.
for sure.
Yeah, so if you go to,
I'll just
let's
do it.
go ahead and go to your Canvas.
And you think it's gonna be your last?
I told myself I'd give it a year.
Right?
So,
So go back over to your
well, I'm
Canvas
gonna say,
tab.
You said forever.
Oh, no, just kidding. Okay, so edit. So let's go right at the top.
I know. So I'm like, wow.
You're over there, your cursor.
Well, they paid last.
Why are you putting it under
So I was in this semester. So I'm like, maybe
I
I'll
want
figure
to
it out.
do my course now.
No,
I'll have to.
whatever.
Okay, and then you're gonna go to record/upload video.
But yeah.
Where do you want me to put it?
Yeah.
Yeah, would it all be able to find it there?
And then I'm like, yeah, so I can figure it out.
Question
Awesome, maybe, you know.
How about she's playing for her students or something now? It's like,
No, I want it. It's my
Until August.
introductory.
Whatever.
Yeah, it's screencast.
Yeah, that might be worth it.
Choose. I'm not gonna email it to her.
I do that.
my vision was
So,
just
and actually, the first
incomplete.
year, I'm like, no
Just
job.
for me.
Great,
But I won't lose it there. Okay.
And so then I'm like, oh, you're
Okay, now scroll down, save the page.
I think I'll stay.
And I'm not publishing now. I'm
for a little,
just
for a little bit, but yeah.
Not forever.
It's
So
good.
yeah, let's make sure.
And they need models. These kids need.
We're just gonna have to find that out.
Yeah, they don't
Thank you.
You can pause that anytime.
She got adopted by this family.
Okay.
This family.
Excellent, excellent, excellent.
I'm so used to it.
I'm heading used to it because I hear it all the time in my classroom about
Do
this
it down there.
stuff that we're doing.
By the way, we're gonna pay for adoption.
Good job.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, thank you.
Since I just created the ethics lesson for the foundations class the other day, and actually had to read the law of what you get penalized for in swearing in class as well. So you know, so it's like, oh, so I'm not a licensed K-12 teacher.
You made one of these. I did. I made two, actually, because I hated this. I love it. Right.
Awesome. They're fantastic. Now I need to make more than mine. I dropped on the plane.
I can't believe my case is that thick. What am I gonna do with a case that thick?
I don't know. Why didn't you get one of these?
You know, because it looked not that thick when I bought it online.
It's okay. This looks not as big. I bought it online and I was like, whoa, that's massive.
Socratic.
Yes.
Have you used that one?
Yep.
Do you like that one?
I do now. I didn't used to like it as well as I do now. It's gotten a lot better.
Just because they added stuff?
Yeah.
Their $750,000 grant.
Yeah.
Yep. Sweet.
You could do just something as simple as Google Docs too, or Google Drive, something like that.
I'm doing the digital story right now that I set up for some project. I don't know when, but it was so awesome to have the whole thing done.
Right.
Except for my example, because we don't have access to PowerPoint, so we had to do the whole e-maze. Did you show me the e-maze? Or did my ed tech person show me e-maze? Anyway, so I have them creating it in Google Slides so they can collaborate, and then they have to make a folder in Google or Google Docs to save all the audio clips from that back room. And then when they go to the meeting, you got a better one?
Yeah.
What?
There's a plugin for Google Slides that allows you to do basically screencasts or voiceovers on your Google Slides.
No, you give me a screencast and send it to me.
Send me an email and I'll do it.
Thank you. Because it's too late now. They're already in the process, but I would love it for the next one because they're struggling with the back room. It's not working on all systems. Anyways, and then the lovely campus, I have assigned a peer editor, a little stressed. I have it due at 9:30 a.m. on Friday, and at 9:30, that's when class starts first period. Supposedly, it's going to automatically assign them a text to peer editing, and I put the rubric on Canvas so they can give them feedback. But now my problem is I don't give them. I told them it's a summative assessment, and I'm not redoing it. But then I'm like, why am I having them peer edit or peer review if they can't edit, right? So now I'm like, maybe I should give them the weekend, even though it's Christmas break, if they want to fix their project. I won't grade it till Monday. Would you give them time to fix it, or would you be like, no?
No, I absolutely want to. And whether they take advantage of it or not is up to them.
They'll probably have a handful as well.
The ones that don't. Kristen, that's awesome.
I know, we'll see if I can make it through it without 911.
Kicking and screaming.
I'm still kicking and screaming. My poor ed tech people, they have to listen to me all the time.
Listen to me.
Well, and I want immediate response from them. Right. Don't go 4 days without answering my email because, like, I'm irritated by them. Like, I need immediate.
Quick like a bunny.
And I'm going to try Voki, right?
I'm sorry about your giant case.
My summative. Voki. I'm on it. Did you go Tammy? No. Giant case is very tan.
Bring it like a court case. And I'm like,
Again, the slides can be.
No.
Yeah,
Did he tell you where he wants to go tomorrow?
Another one?
What job do you have?
How cool it is to get to like that.
Right. How's that going?
It goes really well. It's so easy because they're so engaged. It's not a problem. They'll work hard so they can play with it, and then you don't want to go. It's like two really opposite. Usually they're like, one teacher walked by and said, this is amazing. They want to go.
Yeah.
She picked the right one.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, I told you earlier. I'm not just concerned, I'm going to
apply. Awesome. Yeah, I was telling him in return that there's a job opening at Portland State that I was kind of truly crying over.
Would you go back to the Clemson too?
I don't know. That's what we kind of talked about. Is I've been out of it for almost 20 years, so I don't know if I could do it. If I could go back to it, but I think I could. I think I could. I've been here for a really long time. Yeah.
I'm just the opposite. Yeah. The minute I was 18, I was out of here.
See, the minute I was 18, I was out of there, but not because I didn't love Oregon, but because I have always been super independent, and I just
not handled by parents anymore.
Not that, and I have awesome parents, like seriously awesome parents, and I was still just like, I have to be on my own. I have to.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, that's like fourth
What
of
do you
the
want
road
it to
where it's
look like?
like, hey, if I'm gonna start investing in my
Picture.
complete future, I've gotta go
This
somewhere.
is what I want to do. I just like pages. I want
And
pages like this.
I'm in love with it. And my dad, since he moved in, it's so nice to have somebody up there.
Yeah,
Not just make
and then I
everything
make
come
that
alive.
into.
Yeah, given time.
Could you run that in?
I don't know if I could have done Oregon. I'm sure I could have, but looking at it, doing it with really young kids, but I think it would have been hard.
Oh, here's a perfect place to bring.
See, and I mean, I we jumped in every pedal and, you know, did whatever, but I think now would be easier than it would have been then, because like, I don't have to worry about cleaning them off and drying them off and all that kind of stuff every time they go outside, which I would have had to when they were really little, so as a full-time working mom, I think it would have been harder a little bit. But
Okay.
I don't think it's
Perfect.
We're not even applying. I don't think.
All right. Okay. And then I would go after this, right?
My parents are
picture, right?
now in their 70s. They're not going anywhere.
Right?
Are they moving? They're here. Yeah, they moved here shortly after my husband and I got married. So
I need to.
like, I don't know. To take them away from their grandparents.
I can't meet them now, but I moved here because
Yeah.
I was away for 21 years and now I'm back and now it's like, oh.
That's where I wanna move.
I found my
And my husband's mom is all alone in Idaho now. His dad passed away. So.
What part of Idaho is she in?
Eastern side, unfortunately, Shelley, Idaho Falls.
My dad just bought a house 75 and they gave him a loan. Should we all fall over us? I did not think it was gonna happen. I was like, not worried about it. He just turned 75 last week and they gave him a loan. He just
You don't have
moved
to
to
do friends like that.
Yeah.
All right.
Beautiful place.
Oh, it is beautiful. I just worried about him. He's 75. He's gonna be there all by himself.
And the winter.
It's a
ugly.
And then
We're trying to get my mother-in-law to move. We're just like, how they have 5 acres. Like, she has never shoveled snow in her life, so.
You were gifted 8 acres in Roosevelt, Utah?
In Roosevelt, Utah. This is our.
You need those kind of questions like this, we can answer.
Yeah, good at sleep.
I didn't have to talk to anyone.
You could go for the horse racing season. They got
There's
an
no
awesome
hiking there.
racetrack.
There's just land, 8 acres of land.
There's no
Put your fifth
hiking.
wheel on it.
Is there any hiking there?
There's fishing.
Anywhere near there?
My dad lives in Roosevelt.
I don't know much about Roosevelt. I gotta admit.
Roosevelt is sagebrush.
Did this get stopped ever?
No, well, it's by Vernal.
Is this still filming? Yes. Hi, now you're staring at my chest. How are you?